of an opportunity for them. I'm getting to put on a uniform, give it everything you got to make sure they never take it away.
The Road to Cooperstown airs Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern on MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM 89, and the all-new SiriusXM app. New episodes drop every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts.
The NASCAR Cup Series is on SiriusXM.
Let's go!
We're back on the track Sunday,
5 p.m. Eastern.
It's the Cookout Southern 500
from Darlington Raceway.
Checker flag, baby. Yeah!
On SiriusXM NASCAR Radio Channel 90 in the car and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Yeah!
Get closer to everything that moves you wherever you are with the SiriusXM app.
Let's make some smoke and drink some beer. Yeah!
Fantasy football players, learn winning strategies right now on Fantasy Sports Radio to help you draft a winning team on Channel 87 and on the SiriusXM app.
Toronto. This
slams a ball to right field, way back, way gone!
Is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Low rounding and heading for second to throw. In time!
On the Sportsnet Radio Network.
A rubber match in Minnesota. The Blue Jays thrashed the Twins yesterday 15-0 to tie up the series. Now, Toronto can exact a small measure of revenge for last year by taking the series and putting Minnesota's playoff hopes in jeopardy. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the finale of this series. I'm Ben Schulman alongside former Major Leaguer Chris LaRue. Show Ali is our host today. Nick Blackmore is our producer, and our technical director is Tom Young. Toronto Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Antigonish and New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. Yariel Rodriguez faces Bailey Ober today, but the attention grabber is the Blue Jays lineup. At the end of a stretch of 18 games in 17 days, none of Guerrero, Springer, Varsho, or Kirk are in the lineup, with Will Wagner on the bench as well. We'll get you lineup, standings, and first pitch next. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, streaming at sportsnet.ca, the Sportsnet app, and across the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
We're two men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikeys accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're two men in a truck.
Two men and a truck, the movers who care.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's building center. Visit timbermart.ca.
The NASCAR Cup Series is on SiriusXM.
Let's go!
We're back on the track Sunday,
5 p.m. Eastern.
It's the Cookout Southern 500
from Darlington Raceway.
Checker flag, baby. Yeah!
On SiriusXM NASCAR Radio Channel 90 in the car and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Yeah!
Get closer to everything that moves you wherever you are with the SiriusXM app.
Let's make some smoke and drink some beer. Yeah!
Hi, this is Alexa. Did you know you can listen to this game on devices with Amazon Alexa? Download the SiriusXM app, then tell me to play the Blue Jays on SiriusXM.
The Sportsnet Radio Network.
2-0 Blue Jays. Runner on first. No outs, top of the first. Right on left pitch. Swing and a fly ball right field. Turning around Kepler, and Horwitz has left the yard. second two-run homer of the inning for the Blue Jays, and they're up 4-0 before an out's been recorded.
I just think it kind of makes you hungrier. I think I felt like towards the end of the game, everyone was running to the bat rack to try and get in there. And when you get that energy and the offense kind of rolling, it's contagious for sure. And I think we saw that tonight.
15 runs on 23 hits. That was the output for the Blue Jays yesterday in one of their largest wins in a long time and their largest shutout win, tied for it in franchise history. Series wraps up today. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue, and they'll need a lot more from Horwitz and the other rookies on this team, Chris, as it's a much younger, less experienced lineup that gets the field today for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I actually can't wait to see this lineup. I know that the veteran guys are out of the lineup, and they're going to get 3 off days in the next 5 days, and much needed off days for those guys. But I'm really excited to see this younger lineup, this Buffalo Bison, quote unquote, lineup, if you will. Addison Barger. I want to see more Nathan Lucas. I want to see more Joey Loperfido. And not because I think they can take this team to the promised land, but because if I'm John Schneider, if I'm Ross Atkins, I want to see what guys can potentially be a part of this roster for 2025. This is a very important game, and there's some good players in this lineup.
We won't sugarcoat it anymore. We'll get to the lineups, but getting to them and the standings and more before first pitch, let's go over to our host today, Show Ali.
Thank you very much, guys. Welcome back inside Baseball Control. Show Ali with you. I'm going to bring in Nick Ashbourne as well. And Nick, before we check out the Bet365 standings update, I want to continue that conversation that Ben and Chris were having about the lineup for the Blue Jays today. And I'm actually going to read it to you before we start, okay? This is what the lineup looks like for John Schneider. Nathan Lucas is batting leadoff. He is in left field. Ernie Clement is batting second. He's at shortstop. Spencer Horwitz is batting third. He is at first base. Addison Barger is in right field, batting cleanup. Batting fifth is Leo Jimenez. He is at second base. Joey Loperfido is batting sixth in center field. Davis Schneider is DHing today. He is batting eighth. Luis De Los Santos, one of the September call-ups, he is batting eighth. He is at third base, and Brian Servant is catching. He is batting ninth. It's going to be Yariel Rodriguez on the mound with all of those guys today. But according to Sportsnet stats, the starting 9 batters today have combined for 487 career games played, the fewest for a starting lineup in the history of the Toronto Blue Jays, and the fewest by any MLB team since the Cubs on October 2nd, 1972. I would love to go back and read the lineup for the Cubs in 1972, first of all, but two, I am curious what you are expecting from such a lineup today. No Vladdy, no Kirk, no Varsho, no Springer.
The veterans have been banished from this lineup. Realistically, it is all the kids. You pointed out that stat, which is a great stat that just goes to show how much inexperience there is in this group. And, you know, on one hand, you got a guy, Nathan Lucas, who has never started 3 games in a row. He's your leadoff man. Your number 5 hitter is kind of a middle infielder who's more contact-based in Leo Jimenez. I don't think you project this to be, you know, that 15-0 type of lineup. But the rest of the season for the Blue Jays is really about evaluating these players. And so it is an interesting game because you get to do that with basically all of them all at once at the same time, with the possible exception of Will Wagner. Am I expecting this group to put tons and tons of runs on the board? Not necessarily. Are all of them top-level prospects? No, they're not. But at the same time, the rest of the year where you're kind of lost out competitively is about evaluating young players, and that's exactly what we'll get to do today.
That is Nick Ashbourne. I'm Show Ali. Nick and I have Jays Talk after the game. You can certainly text us 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text line. Standard data and messaging rates may apply. You can also call us as well, and I'll throw out the numbers for you to call once this game is in the books. All right, let's check on the Bet365 standings update. Bet365 is where you can watch thousands of live games, build your own bet. You can even make a bet while the game is still being played. 19 plus, play responsibly. Ontario only in the AL East after all of yesterday's games. The Yankees are 79-57. The Orioles are 78-59. The Red Sox are 70-66. The Rays are 67-68. The Toronto Blue Jays are 67-71 after the win. They take on the Twins, who sit at 73-62. You heard the Blue Jays starting lineup. Here's the Twins starting lineup. Willie Castro is batting leadoff. He is in center field. Jose Miranda is batting second at first base. Matt Wallner is batting third. He is DHing today. Ryan Jeffers is behind the dish. He is batting cleanup. Trevor Larnach is in left field batting fifth. Royce Lewis is at third base. He is batting sixth. Max Kepler is in right field. He is batting seventh. Recently returned to the Major League roster for the Twins is Brooks Lee. He is at shortstop batting 8th. Edouard Julien is batting 9th. He is at second base. Bailey Ober will pitch for the Twins. All right, we are getting very close to the first pitch in the land of 10,000 lakes. It's Barbie Day as well at Target Field. So let's get you over to all the action with the call. Here's Ben Shulman and Chris LaRue.
Thank you very much, Joe. The Blue Jays and Twins about to wrap up this series. First inning about to start, and the first is brought to you by Armstrong Bird Food. Bring nature to your backyard with Armstrong, feeding Blue Jays since 1986. Visit ArmstrongBirdFood.com. A lot of lineup talk, Chris, but also an interesting pitching matchup as Bailey Ober steps onto the field with the Minnesota Twins to get warm-ups in. Ober, the 6'9" right-hander, gets the start for Minnesota. He's been solid this year, not remarkable. 12-6 with a .406 earned run average in 25 starts.
Yeah, the thing that stands out to me with Bailey Ober is the hits per inning. 111 hits in almost 143 innings. That is not a lot of hits. So Bailey Ober is a guy that is very stingy giving up base hits, but you look at his overall numbers. His overall numbers are okay. But in his last start, he gave up 9 earned runs in just 2 innings. I think that really elevated that ERA, and he's pitching much better than what that ERA currently sits at.
The Twins have twice been down 9-0 in a second inning in the last 5 days. One was Ober's last start. The other one was yesterday when the Blue Jays beat the Twins 15-0. Like you mentioned, though, that last start did dramatically change the season numbers for Ober, who was close to his mid-threes ERA before that start. He sported a 3.43 ERA in 2023 as one of the better starters for Minnesota. Twins in kind of their cream off-white jerseys today have dark caps with dark font across the jerseys as well. And the Blue Jays getting set to go as Ober gives the thumbs up. He's ready with his warm-up pitches, and Nathan Lucas is about to step in to lead off this game for Toronto with Ernie Clement and Spencer Horwitz set to hit behind them.
I love these uniforms. I don't know how you feel about them, but the Twin Cities across the chest, kind of the cream color like you said. Very simple, just cream and navy.
I like it too. It's a good look for the Twins, I think. They've shown us 3 different jerseys in this series, going from City Connect tonight 1 to the Navy yesterday and now to the lighter jerseys today. Blue Jays will wear their baby blues, and Nathan Lucas on a sunny day steps in. Right on left pitch. Outside, ball 1. Time of the first pitch today, 2:11 Eastern, 1:11 local, and a beautiful day in Minneapolis, Minnesota. 20 degrees Celsius and very sunny. 1-0 pitch, cut on and missed, 1-1.
How about a first pitch changeup from Bailey Ober? You don't see that every day.
Ober's kind of a funky guy. He doesn't throw overwhelmingly hard, even though he's so big, and now he spikes a changeup. It's 2-1. It's a lot about letting his fastball play up and then mixing in his changeup, his cutter, and his slider with it. Righty's 2-1. Swing and a pop-up. Back of third base in foul territory. Royce Lewis makes his way over there and makes the catch. 1 down.
Well, I think the thing you also have to remember is Bailey Ober's 6'9", so he gets a lot of extension down that mound. And that means that 92 probably crosses the plate and feels more like 93, 94, maybe even 95. So it probably gets on hitters a lot more.
His extension is 97th percentile in Major League Baseball. Only about 20 guys in the majors get better extension than Ober. Pitch to Ernie Clement is rocked to left field. Going back, Larnach looking up at the wall. That ball's out of here. First inning blast, Ernie Clement, deja vu for the Twins. Toronto goes deep early and takes a 1-0 lead.
And how about another home run for Ernie Clement, his 11th of the season. He takes that fastball at the top of the strike zone and drills it over the fence in left center. And he'll again put on that baggy home run jacket.
Clement looking a little bit ginger running around the bases. He did foul the ball off his ankle 2 days ago, but high stepping his way through the dugout, giving high fives as he's given Toronto a 1-0 lead. Spencer Horwitz up, and the pitch from Ober. Outside, ball 1. Clement loved swinging at the first pitch. It was a first pitch fastball, and he smoked it. 1-0 to Horwitz, swing and a miss.
Well, Bailey Ober threw a first pitch changeup to Nathan Lucas to lead off the game. Maybe you should have done that to Ernie Clement.
It's not a bad idea with the swing happy Clement. 1-1 to Horwitz. Fastball for called strike 2. So 1-0 Blue Jays, 1 out, top of the first. Horwitz asks for time. Now back in the box. Right on left pitch. Hit on the ground softly in front of the plate. Barehanded by Jeffers, the catcher. His throw down to first in time. 2 outs.
And it really is a good changeup. It's not just a straight changeup. It has a ton of movement on it. Almost like a split finger. It has good vertical, good drop to it, good fade to it. You could see why it's his second most used pitch.
And it's really by far the most productive pitch for Ober. If you look at his four-seamer and cutter, batters have hit 15 of their 21 homers off of that. Actually make it 16 now that Clement has gone deep too. Addison Barger takes a fastball outside. Ball 1. 2 outs, bases empty. The pitch. Barger rocks one. Center field. Going back, Castro. Willie Castro making his first start in center this season. Makes the catch and ends the inning. Blue Jays take an early lead. Ernie Clement's solo home run, his 11th of the year, makes it 1-0 Toronto. Middle of the first. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
If you're looking for a fun day, did you know the day before Monday? Junior J Sunday. You can paint your face, come and meet Ace and run base to base. Junior J Sunday. So many things to do. You can bring your crew and even mom and dad too. Junior J Sunday.
Sundays are for Junior Jays, and with all kinds of cool new games and activities in the exciting outfield district areas, there's no end to the family fun you'll have.
If you're feeling the song, grab your dad or mom, visit BlueJays.com. Junior J Sunday.
We're 2menintruck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2menintruck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2menintruck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2menintruck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. He keeps this game tied
on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome to the Timbermart broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Show Ali's our host today. Nick Blackmore, our producer. Tom Young, our technical director. 1-0 Blue Jays, bottom of the first inning. Yariel Rodriguez on the mound, about to make his 17th start of the year. Right-handers 1-6 with a 4.82 earned run average. He winds and delivers to Willie Castro. High ball 1. Castro, Miranda, Wallner to bat in this first inning for the Twins. Third day in a row that Castro is leading off, although first one that he's the center fielder after 2 days at short. 1-0. Swing and a miss. Castro's a .255 hitter, 29 doubles, and 11 home runs. The pitch. Inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. For Castro, his 17th start in center field this season, has been at short a lot, has played at second, in left, at third. He is all over the diamond. 2-1. High and outside, 3-1. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Got him to chase a slider low on 3-1. Gutsy pitch to get it to a full count.
Yeah, Brian Serven liked that pitch. He pointed that glove out at Yariel Rodriguez after he threw that pitch. But, I mean, first batter of the game, you're behind in the count 3-1. I tend to just throw that sinker in there, make him hit a ground ball.
3-2. Fastball hit foul. They went with the harder four-seam fastball elevated rather than the sinker low, and Castro fights it off.
And again, Brian Serven points out at Yariel. He liked that pitch. I like that pitch too. 95 miles an hour. The velocity right there is something that you need to see from Yariel more often.
Quick wind, 3-2. Called strike 3. Gets a bit of a break as it looked like that fastball was an inch or two off the plate outside. But for Rodriguez, it's a strikeout looking to start his day.
Yeah, Brian Serven actually did a good job of framing that pitch, bringing it back maybe an inch or two, making it look like a strike. Maybe him and Alejandro Kirk have been having some conversations in that dugout. That's a good job right there from Serven.
Serven sets up away now. The pitch to Jose Miranda is a strikeout, or is a slider for strike 1. 1-0 Blue Jays, 1 out. Bottom of the first, base is empty. Miranda playing first today, bats from the right side. 0-1. Swing and a ground ball. Third base side foul, rolling into the Blue Jays dugout. 0-2.
The velocity so far early in this ball game has been pretty good from Yariel. 94, 95 with that fastball. We've seen a huge fluctuation in velocity from him, especially since the All-Star break. 91, 92 sometimes.
0-2 is a slider hit softly on the ground to third. Rodriguez picks it up, but that'll be a swinging bunt single for Jose Miranda. Can't place it better than that in between the plate, the mound, and third base. And Miranda's on first with 1 out.
Yeah, that was just protection mode from Jose Miranda. A pretty good slider that was actually off the plate. He kind of just stuck the bat out, hit it about, 40 feet. The only thing Yariel could do is pick it up and put it in his back pocket.
Twins only had 3 hits yesterday en route to the Blue Jays shutting them out. They get their first one here in the first. Now Matt Wallner up. The pitch. Low ball 1. You mentioned the fastball velocity of Rodriguez. In his first 14 starts, averaged 94. In his last 2 starts, more like 92. And this is a guy well documented. Did not pitch last year outside of a handful of innings in the World Baseball Classic. Throws the curveball on 1-0 and misses outside 2-0.
And as we've seen from Bowden Francis, you don't need the big fastball to have success, but you do need to command all of your pitches. Bowden Francis, of course, is commanding all of his pitches, especially the fastball.
2-0 pitch outside 3-0.
And Yariel, it's to me, Yariel, it's just the quality of the pitch. It's not so much the velocity, because when he needs to throw a strike, he'll throw a very hittable strike instead of throwing a strike to the corners like Bowden Francis has been doing.
3-0. Down the middle, strike 1. I guess in a way, we look at the velocity, we could see fatigue, and fatigue could contribute to the sharpness and movement of the pitches and the location as well.
Absolutely. Fatigue messes with everything.
3-1. Called strike. Slider just caught the bottom of the zone. 3-2.
Another 3-1 slider there. Brian Serven really did a good job again framing that pitch, bringing it up a little bit higher than it was. Actually another ball too, but luckily they got the call there.
Slider seems to be Rodriguez's most comfortable pitch. Throws a four-seamer, slider, curve, sinker, and splitter. Full count, 1 out, runner on first. Righty's pitch. Swing and a fly ball left field. Hit almost right at Nathan Lucas. Just shuffles to his right toward the foul line and makes the catch. 2 outs.
But yeah, like in answer to your question, yes, fatigue affects everything. So you have to cut Yariel some slack in that respect. Fatigue affects velocity, command, the tightness of your breaking balls. So maybe that is playing a big factor in here, especially because he didn't really pitch much last year. But just get him through this season healthy, throwing strikes, and I think that the Blue Jays will be happy.
Ryan Jeffers to the plate, and the pitch from Rodriguez is a slider for strike one. And Yariel, even in his full seasons in Japan, was a reliever exclusively in Japan. Has not been a full-time starter since he was much younger, pitching in the Cuban National Series. 0-1. Bounce to the plate. Blocked on the backhand side by Servin. Just stuck his glove out and got in the way of that curve. 1-1.
And who knows? Maybe his future isn't as a starter. Maybe his future is as a back-end person in that bullpen. I don't think the Blue Jays really know yet. I don't know yet. Ross Atkins probably doesn't know yet, but they do know that he does have the ability to throw multiple pitches, high velocity guy, and that's what they like.
1-1. Outside, 2-1. I mean, at the deal they have, potential of 5 years and $32 million. $6 million about a year. That's going to be a very inexpensive starter. And even for a reliever, it would be a little bit on the more expensive end, but it wouldn't be the most expensive Blue Jays reliever right now. 2-1 pitch, called inside. Looked like it got the zone, but Rodriguez had the benefit of a couple calls earlier, so that probably evens up. It's 3-1.
Yeah, Yariel was really frustrated with that call. It was a pretty good pitch on the inside part of the plate. He kind of looked out to center field, was talking to himself a little bit.
Righty with a breath, the pitch. Called strike, full count.
How about another 3-1 slider? If I'm the Minnesota Twins, I am sitting 3-1 slider from here on out.
He's thrown it for a strike every time, and now he has Jeffers in a full count. Miranda will get a head start from first after his infield single. 1-0 Blue Jays, bottom of the first. Payoff pitch. Bounced it, ball 4. Two-out walk to the catcher. Ryan Jeffers keeps this inning going for Minnesota. Runners on first and second and 2 outs. 1-0 Blue Jays, and Trevor Larnach coming up to the plate.
You could see Pete Walker kind of tilting his head. I'm sure he's thinking, why are we throwing an off-speed pitch right there? Let's throw a fastball down in the zone. There's no need to be throwing too many pitches in this inning. Yariel now up to 22 pitches in this first inning.
Larnach batting from the left side, faces the first pitch from Rodriguez. Outside, ball 1. Yariel has gone to 3-2 with 3 of the 4 batters he's faced. Ironically, the batter that he got ahead of quickly, 0-2, Jose Miranda, was the one who hit the swinging bunt down the third baseline. Miranda on second, Jeffers on first, 1-0. Outside, ball 2. Blue Jays up 1-0 thanks to Ernie Clement's home run in the first. Rodriguez, glove near his cheek, delivers pitch number 25. And it's a called strike, a backdoor slider to make it 2-1. Sun pouring down on Target Field. Blue Jays shifting to the pull side against the left-handed hitter Larnach. Shortstop Clement playing up the middle. 2-1. Called strike again with a backdoor slider, and it's 2-2.
It's almost like whenever Yariel needs to throw a strike, he throws the slider. So if I'm the Minnesota Twins and it's 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, I mean, chances are extremely high that he's most comfortable throwing a strike with that slider. You sit slider and you do damage on it.
2-2. Fastball up top. Larnach started to swing, appeal down to third. He did not go around on appeal. It's another full count. Home plate ump is Nick Lentz, by the way. Will Little at first, Lance Barksdale at second, and the appeal to third went to Derek Thomas, who said no swing. Both runners will be off on the pitch. Miranda from second, Jeffers from first. Rodriguez set, glove near his face, looks at second and delivers. Low, ball 4. Close with that sinking fastball, but could not fool the home plate umpire Nick Lentz, even with a decent frame from Servin. And the bases are loaded after back-to-back 2-out walks.
Yeah, Yariel again frustrated with that call, looking in at Nick Lentz and having some words for him. Pete Walker is going to come out and have some words for Yariel. But I think the biggest thing when watching Yariel early on in this ball game for the second half of this season, he has to throw strike one. And I know I say this a lot with a lot of pitchers, but most pitchers, if they fall behind, the at-bat completely changes. And Yariel, if he falls behind 1-0, 2-0, I mean, it completely changes the at-bat, especially for him. The average skyrockets, the success rate against him skyrockets. So for him to have success in the big leagues as a starting pitcher, he has to get ahead. He has to throw strike one, and he certainly hasn't done that today yet.
That's why he's potentially looking at a 30-pitch first inning. 28 pitches thrown already, bases loaded, 2 outs. 1-0 Blue Jays over Twins. And here's Royce Lewis, the number 6 hitter in today's order and third baseman for Minnesota. Rodriguez will work from the stretch. And the pitch. Check swing on a slider, appeal down to first. He did not go around on that pitch down and away. Ball 1. Lewis hitting .258, 15 homers this year. And he's a guy known for hitting grand slams. Set the Twins record last year with 4 grand slams despite missing a lot of time. 1-0. Swing and a foul back. Threw him another slider. A tight one that time on the outside corner. 1-1.
Yeah, that one right there might have been his best slider of the day. Clipped the outside part of the plate. You don't want to throw a slider there down the middle. Royce Lewis does damage on hanging sliders. It's almost like he was expecting slider there, but it was well placed on the outside part of the plate.
1-1. Called strike on the inside edge with a slider. That was a big miss from Rodriguez. Wanted to go down and away, but went to the inner edge instead, and it looked like he just got the zone to make it 1-2. Miranda on third, an infield single. 2 walks after that. 2 outs. Bases loaded in the 1-2. Swing and a fly ball left field. Lucas back at the track, makes the catch just in front of the dirt and ends the inning. A tightrope walk of a bottom of the first for Yariel Rodriguez. He gives up a hit and walks a pair, but leaves the bases loaded and keeps the Blue Jays in front 1-0. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Jimmy Buffett fans have their favorite island escape music.
I wanna go back.
Songs of reflection.
Bubbles up. They will point you towards home.
And party anthems.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Listeners voted. Now wrap up summer with the Jimmy Buffett Top 100 Countdown throughout Labor Day weekend on Radio Margaritaville, Channel 24, and at home on the SiriusXM app.
What's up, Blue Jays fans? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight for the Toronto Blue Jays matchup. Please take a minute and exit out of the chat and hit that thumbs up button. Please smash that like button. We really need your help so we can get more Blue Jays fans and baseball fans here in the chat so we can have a great time here watching the Blue Jays game against the Red Sox. We'll see you guys back in the chat. Let's have some fun tonight. Let's keep it classy. Go Blue Jays, go.
The SiriusXM app.
Feel the thrill of the Premier League on SiriusXM FC.
Arsenal running riot. A quick fire double from Chelsea.
Hear every pulse-pounding moment.
Haaland scores the hat-trick. Brilliant left-foot strike by Salah. What a goal by Marcus Rashford.
From the world's most exciting league.
Absolutely glorious from Tottenham Hotspur.
Manchester United turn it round.
All on your radio home for the beautiful game.
If you like soccer, you are in the right place.
The Premier League lives on SiriusXM FC 157 and the all-new SiriusXM app.
In season or out of season, the #1 place for college sports is SiriusXM College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
The second inning is presented by Bet365. At Bet365, you can watch thousands of live games, build your own bet, and can even make a bet while the game's still being played. 19 plus, play responsibly, Ontario only. First pitch of the second goes to Leo Jimenez, strike 1. 1-0 Blue Jays, Bailey Ober on the mound. Next pitch, inside. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Thanks for joining us today. Ober winds and delivers. Swing and a fly ball, right field, pretty deep. Kepler has room, though. He's on the warning track and makes the catch. And Jimenez retired, 1 out.
To put things in perspective, Yariel threw 32 pitches in that first inning. Bailey Ober threw 11.
But the Blue Jays scored and the Twins
Blue Jays
didn't.
did score. They have a 1-0 lead. That's all that matters.
Although I do not think that Yariel wants to replicate the first again. Bases were loaded with 2 outs for the Twins after 2 2-out walks, but they didn't cash in. Here's Joey Loperfido now for the Blue Jays. The pitch. Strike 1, fastball down the middle.
And Royce Lewis he missed a grand slam by about 10 feet out to left field.
It's pretty close, and he's been known to do that. 0-1. Outside. Joey Loperfido making his first start of the series. Saw him yesterday as a defensive replacement late in the game. Loperfido in center today. 1-1. Swing and a miss. Middle fastball, but just got under it. 1-2. Lefty swinger batting .222 on the year between Houston and Toronto. 8 doubles, 4 triples, and 4 home runs. 1-2. Checks his swing on a changeup away. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I think it's not only the extension that makes his fastball seem a little bit faster. It's the fact that he really relies on that changeup. When you have the changeup in the back of your mind as a hitter, that fastball really plays up.
Swing and a miss at a change below the zone, and tag applied by Ryan Jeffers to strike out there. First strikeout of the day for Ober, and Loperfido goes down for the second out of the frame.
Yeah, he's really leaning on that changeup today, and boy, it's a good one.
Do you think the younger or more inexperienced lineup would make you want to throw a change more potentially?
Oh, absolutely, because in the minor leagues, you see changeups, of course, but in the big leagues.
First pitch to Davis Schneider, fastball called a strike. Looked pretty high, 0-1.
Guys are so much more seasoned, and they have the feel for that changeup because the changeup is a feel pitch, so you see a lot more of it. And if you're younger,
swing and a miss at a change by Schneider, 0-2.
Like that pitch right there, in the minor leagues, you really don't see right-on-right changeups.
Ober going very quickly. Here's his 11th pitch of the inning with 2 outs. Called strike 3. Tough break for Davis Schneider. 2 called strikes in 3 pitches that weren't in the zone, but he strikes out on 3 pitches, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Bailey Ober. Still 1-0 Blue Jays, middle of the second. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
So, you want to be a Looney Dogger, eh? Every Tuesday Blue Jays home game is Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. Grab $1 hot dogs from various concession stands around Rogers Center. Plus, stop by the Schneider's Porch, your hot dog headquarters. The destination for a one-of-a-kind hot dog experience with excellent ballpark views. So, whether you're the relish ringleader or 7th-inning snacker, no Blue Jays game is complete without hot dogs. Don't miss out on this delicious deal. Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Blue Jays up 3-2 on a wacky play to give Toronto the lead.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Want to win a trip to see your Blue Jays play in Boston or New York? Jays Care has 10 unforgettable add-on prizes up for grabs during their Split the Pot raffle, and you can enter to win all of them. At the end of the season, you and 9 lucky winners could be taking home a life-changing amount of money. Learn more by visiting bluejays.com/5050 from anywhere in Ontario or Nova Scotia. 1-0 Blue Jays, bottom of the second. 1-0 count on Max Kepler, the leadoff hitter, as Rodriguez missed outside. Next pitch. In the dirt, 2-0. Rodriguez threw 32 pitches, gave up an infield hit and 2 walks in the first inning, but no runs. That's why the Blue Jays are up 1-0. 2-0. Kepler hits it high in the air, shallow left field. Clement, the shortstop, called off by Lucas, the left fielder, who makes the catch. 1 out.
Nathan Lucas really fighting the sun there. The sun is right in his face. You can see with the shadow right behind him. He's wearing his sunglasses. Didn't really shade the face with that glove, but doing a good job catching that baseball.
Sun kind of pointing at him from over the first baseline out toward left field. It's a bright day at Target Field. Pitch now to Brooks Lee. In the dirt, ball 1. Lee, part of the roster moves for the Twins today. Everyone made roster moves because it's September, so you have one more pitcher and one more position player on your roster. And Lee, the rookie, activated off the injured list today as one of 2 players added to the Twins. 1-0. Swing and a line drive, right field line, hooking, and foul. 1-1. Brooks Lee's a very interesting guy. He was the 8th overall pick out of Cal State Polytechnic San Luis Obispo. As the 1-1 misses up high, 2-1. Not necessarily known as a juggernaut in collegiate athletics. His dad was the coach there, though, and he absolutely tore it up in college. 2-1. Swinging a foul back, 2-2, including his final season in the Big West Conference when he hit almost 360 with 40 extra base hits and 55 RBIs in 58 games.
Have you ever been to San Luis Obispo?
I have not.
Oh, it is gorgeous.
2-2. Splitter hit on a line right center field, down for a base hit. Cut off by Loperfido. He spins and throws it back in. It's a single for Lee.
That actually wasn't a bad pitch. Pretty good split finger that kind of had some good fade to it. Lee did a good job just going with it, staying behind that baseball and hammering it up the middle.
So Lee on first, 1 out, and Quebec City's Edouard Julien coming up to the plate for the first time. He started all 3 games in the series, all of them at second base. Right on left pitch. Fastball hit foul, 0-1. Lee, the runner on first. He can run a little bit. 3 stolen bases on the year in 26 games. Turn and throw over to first, and Lee dives back in. Rodriguez staring down at the rubber, now steps onto it and looks in toward Brian Servant. Righty tucks the ball into his glove. Set belt high, brings the glove up to his chin, and the 0-1. Outside.
I would love to see him mix in that split just a little bit more often. He's relying a little bit too much on that slider. Twins hitters will start to sit on that thing.
The splitter has been very effective for Rodriguez coming into this game. 1-1. High, 2-1. Obviously just gave up a hit on it, so it's not exactly a selling high on it moment right now, but the splitter had allowed just a 107 batting average coming in to this game. 3rd best among American League pitchers who have thrown at least 100 splitters, but he only uses it about 10% of the time. 2-1. Fastball breaks back over the plate on the inside edge. Strike 2.
Yeah, Julien didn't like that call, but that was a great pitch. A sinking fastball started in, kind of broke back and just clipped the inside part of that plate.
2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Goes up and in with the slider and strikes out Julien. A wild hack for the 2nd out of the 2nd inning.
I don't think that's where they wanted that pitch. You could see Brian Servant set up low and inside. But fortunately for Yariel and for the Blue Jays, Julien swings wildly at that elevated slider.
Almost looked like the cutter that a Jose Barrios might throw to a left-handed hitter, up and in on the hands.
Or Chris Bassett.
Yep. Pitch down to Willie Castro, top of the order hitter, hit foul, 0-1.
Maybe you should think about throwing that pitch. A cutter at the top of the strike zone, almost at the hands of the left-handed hitter. You're right. That's kind of what it looked like.
Worked out for him either way, and now Castro up with 2 outs. Runner on first for the Twins, Brooks Lee. 1-0 Blue Jays, bottom of the second. After a 32-pitch first inning, here's the 15th pitch of the second for Rodriguez. Swing and a bouncing ball to first, backhanded by Horwitz. He walks over to the first base bag and steps on it to end the frame. Much tidier in the second for Rodriguez. He gives up one hit but leaves Lee on first and takes us to the third. Blue Jays still up 1-0. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Springer started right, coming in, leaps and makes the catch full stretch.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The third inning is brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Antigonish and New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. 1-0 Blue Jays. Top of the third starts with a pitch down and away to Luis De Los Santos. Now the 1-0. Called strike. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Bailey Ober on the mound for Minnesota, about to throw his 25th pitch. Here it is. Swing and a sharp ground ball foul, 1-2.
Bailey Ober's actually yet to throw a fastball with the first pitch of an inning. That's pretty interesting.
Throwing the change a ton, and it's worked out pretty well for him. He's retired 6 of the 7 he's faced, but he threw a first pitch fastball to Ernie Clement in the first inning, and Clement took it out of the yard. 1-2. Outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. So we get to see Luis De Los Santos back in a Blue Jays uniform now, getting the start today. He was the September call-up on the player side. 2-2, high, ball 3. Blue Jays brought De Los Santos up. And on the pitching side, Brandon Eiser is now with the Blue Jays in the bullpen. Payoff pitch. Swing and a ground ball foul again. Still 3-2.
It's so strange to me, but it's also very refreshing that you can only bring up 2 guys in September now for each game. And when I was playing, when a lot of guys were playing, it was 40. You could bring up every single guy on the 40-man roster.
3-2. Called strike 3. Fastball at the bottom of the zone. Freezes De Los Santos. 1 down.
That's a tough pitch, especially when you have changeup in the back of your mind. He just dotted that thing down and in. 92. Not overpowering, but again, so much harder. It seems so much harder when you have that off-speed stuff in the back of your mind.
De Los Santos knew it right away. Turned back to the dugout. Ober rolling now. His pitch to Brian Servin is a fastball for called strike 1.
There were times in September where we would go to Chicago or we'd go to older parks like Dodger Stadium, and they would have to bring in auxiliary lockers.
Oh, 1 pitch hit foul, nothing in 2.
Because there's not enough lockers in the actual locker room of the clubhouse to house 40 players.
So they just put them in the middle of the room? Like, how do you can't create more wall space?
So at Dodger Stadium, I remember my first time at Dodger Stadium, it was in September. And it was almost like a custodial closet. They put these auxiliary lockers. It was crazy.
0-2 to Servin. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Goes around on a high heater. And that's 4 strikeouts in a row for Ober going back to last inning. It really was nuts, though, when the entire 40-man was up. I mean, I can imagine the bullpen. It's just weird how many guys are in there. I know from this side of things, manager points out to the pen, there's like 20 different guys he could be going to at that point. Top of the order now for the Blue Jays, Nathan Lucas hits the first pitch back foul, 0-1.
Well, Clint Hurdle, my manager, when I was in Pittsburgh, he would always say that September isn't real baseball. He was a huge advocate for the way it is now.
0-1 inside.
And the reason for that is because of what you just mentioned. You have 20 arms in the bullpen. You could just go out there and use as many arms as you want. It really doesn't feel like real baseball.
1-1 pitch. Check swing. Changeup missed away. 2-1 to Nathan Lucas. 1-0 Blue Jays, 2 outs, top of the third.
And of course, there wasn't the 3-batter rule either. So you could literally use as many pitchers as you wanted.
You have like 5 different loogies, lefty specialists in your pen. 2-1. High ball 3.
So anyways, I much prefer the way it is now. It's more like real baseball, as Clint Hurdle used to say.
And you can see it with the Blue Jays. You know, if you're a team that wants to get prospects up, you've probably created that space already. 3-1. High ball 4. Lucas is going to take a walk. Second Blue Jays base runner today. Teams that aren't in it, they're selling off their older guys at the deadline. They don't need all 40 guys from the 40-man up anyway.
Right.
I mean, one could argue that, you know, the 2 that they brought up aren't top of the prospect boards anyway. More experienced minor league guys that have been in the Blue Jays system for a couple years. Ernie Clement back up to the plate for Toronto. He has the 1 hit for the Blue Jays. And the first pitch is hit foul, 0-1.
This is the last I'll mention it, but teams before the new rule, teams used to bring up top prospects and not play them just to get experience in the big leagues. To have batting practice, to live on the road, the lifestyle. How absurd is that?
Yeah, make a little extra money while you're up there. 0-1. Called strike. Kind of a miss on the slider from Ober, but it finds the upper and inner part of the zone. 0-2. Yeah, it's a very different and much more palatable situation, I think, now for
definitely
coaches, players, maybe not players, coaches and fans. Players might still want 40. Runner on first, 2 down. 1-0 Blue Jays in the 0-2. Is hit on a line right side and into the seats. So for the Blue Jays, the extra players to circle back around. Luis De Los Santos on the position player side. Brandon Eisert on the pitching side. For the Twins, Michael Hellman was brought up today. He is the extra player, and Diego Castillo is the extra pitcher. 0-2. Swing and a flare foul just over the netting off to the right. It's kind of an interesting situation for the Blue Jays, expanded roster-wise anyway, because in theory, Bo Bichette is healthy soon, and then he kind of takes up that leftover spot anyway. 0-2. Clement takes it outside, ball 1. So as interesting as it was to see who on the position player side would make it today in De Los Santos, it'll be more interesting potentially to see in a week or 2 who stays on the Major League roster. Turn and throw over to first, and Lucas dives back safely. Jose Miranda, though, had to do the real acrobatics. That ball was thrown over the back of Lucas, and Miranda skipped over him, catching it and making sure not to stomp on the runner either.
Yeah, that was a wild throw from Ober. Pretty good play from Miranda over there.
Lucas can certainly run. He's leading off first. 1-2. Swing and a line drive, center field, hanging up. Castro battling the sun, makes the catch to his left and ends the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 left for the Blue Jays. 1-0 Toronto, middle of the third. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The 2024 season is approaching.
Focus on the football, fellas. Focus, focus.
And SiriusXM NFL Radio brings you down to the field for an all-access pass to your favorite team.
You do your best to put yourself in position to get the result you want.
From the regular season through Super Bowl 59, hear every NFL game all season long on SiriusXM.
Touchdown!
And if you missed any of NFL Radio's training camp tour, you can get it right now on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Be the most informed player in your fantasy football league by listening to the experts on Fantasy Sports Radio.
I want to thank you guys for making me a better fantasy player.
Hear player rankings, position breakdowns, and expert drafts.
There is no bigger value today than Dak Prescott.
Going deep down the right side, got a man, caught, touchdown Cowboys!
The road to a fantasy football championship begins with Fantasy Sports Radio. Channel 87 in the car and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
This is Dave LaGreca, creator of the biggest pro wrestling show on the planet, Busted Open. Don't miss myself and my Hall of Fame cast and crew as we break down every story in and out of the ring and talk to the top names in the business, like the legend himself, The Undertaker.
I'm actually glad to be on a real show.
Catch Busted Open live every day from 9 to noon Eastern on SiriusXM Fight Nation, channel 156, and on the SiriusXM app.
24/7, 365 coverage of all things NASCAR. All things NASCAR happens exclusively on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, channel 90.
Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. When home improvement projects are throwing you a curveball, talk to the folks at Timber Mart before you begin your next job. They've got the material and know-how to make sure you have all your bases covered. Timber Mart, Canada's building center. Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue. Here's the bottom of the third, starting with a pitch to Jose Miranda. It's hit foul, 0-1. Blue Jays 1, Twins nothing. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Yariel Rodriguez with a much better second after a tough first inning. Allowed a hit in that inning, but that was all. Righty winds and delivers to Miranda. Swing and a ground ball, foul, 0-2.
I think the biggest thing in that second inning was that he was mixing in the split finger. I talked about it in the first inning. He needs to throw the split finger, something that runs arm side. He can't just rely on glove side action. You're not going to be a very good starter if you don't have a changeup, if you don't have a split finger. He needs to throw the split finger more.
Rodriguez nods, winds, and here's his 50th pitch of the day. Slider outside, ball 1. Do you see that as a pitch that he can throw to righties and lefties, or more to left-handed hitters?
Absolutely. Righties, lefties. It used to be the old school mentality was a right changeup or split finger only to lefties, but the
1-2. Throws the splitter there and misses low.
You saw it right there. The new way of pitching is if you can locate it to righties, if you can locate it to lefties, it doesn't matter.
Facing a right-handed hitter in Jose Miranda before a left-handed hitter in Matt Wallner, and then another righty swinger, Ryan Jeffers, this inning. 2-2. Swing and a line drive over the mound and over the leap of the second baseman Jimenez into center field for a base hit. Miranda with his second hit of the game, and now a leadoff base runner for the Twins in the bottom of the third.
And Jose Miranda is just a good hitter. It was actually a pretty good pitch off the plate outside, a good slider down and away, and he just goes down and kind of golfs it up the middle. No wonder he's hitting 300.
Even better than that after that last hit. And Miranda's on first with Matt Wallner coming up, who's been a pretty hot hitter for the Twins as well. 265 on the year. Here's the pitch. Low ball 1. 265, though, undersells Wallner recently. He's had 2 different stints, struggled early on, and then came back in the first week of July, and since then has hit well over 300. That's why he's batting third in this order. 1-0. Foul tip on a splitter, 1-1. Wallner also the leader in doubles, homers, and RBIs for the Twins since returning to the club on July 7th. 1-1. Hit foul back into the screen, 1-2. Interesting development here in the third inning. Yariel Rodriguez has thrown 55 pitches and not allowed a run. And the Blue Jays have Brendan Little up and throwing in the bullpen. Perhaps something more going on with Rodriguez than we know. That was the case yesterday. Found out after the game that Jose Barrios was dealing with an illness yesterday. He only threw 63 pitches, and he threw 6 shutout innings. He was great. But Barrios admitted that it was a difficult start for him physically, dealing with an illness. 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Rodriguez gets him on a backdoor slider, and that's the first out of the bottom of the 3rd.
And I don't mind that if Yariel only pitches 4 or 5 innings today. We've seen a dip in velo. We've seen a dip in command. Obviously, the workload is a little bit more than anybody anticipated, or maybe not. But there is an element of fatigue, and you have 2 off days coming up. We have a lot of off days in September.
First pitch to Ryan Jeffers is hit on the ground, is short, picked up by Clement, throws the second one over to first. 6-4-3 double play. That should help Rodriguez go a little deeper into the game. A first pitch ground ball double play off the bat of Jeffers makes it a scoreless bottom of the 3rd. We go to the 4th. Blue Jays up 1-0 at Target Field. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
It's Tour Championship week on PGA Tour Radio.
Up in the air, lands soft. It does. Skates up by the cup. Good no, and it did. Scotty Scheffler with the hole-out eagle.
The season-long race for the FedEx Cup is down to the 30 best players.
He goes in for an eagle. One hop in for another eagle for Xander Schauffele. Incredible.
Hear play-by-play coverage and post-round analysis all week long on SiriusXM 92. Plus, you can check out all of our great golf content anytime with the SiriusXM app.
Are you regretting eating that gas station hot dog? Yeah, we know. We've been there too. This is a message for baseball fans like you. Did you know that you get a channel that's talking baseball 24/7 as part of your SiriusXM subscription?
What?
Our lineup includes shows hosted by former big leaguers and executives. Plus, you'll hear from 17 managers each week. MLB Network Radio is on SiriusXM Channel 89, or just search MLB Network Radio on the SXM app. SiriusXM Sports. We're more than just a game.
Every night after the final out, the Round Trip Roundup brings you the scores, highlights, and analysis from every game across Major League Baseball, all in less than 30 minutes.
Swung on and missed, strike 3 and a no-hitter.
It's the perfect way to get caught up on all the night's biggest home runs and best performances.
And a high drive, deep right center.
It's the Round Trip Roundup on MLB Network Radio, every night on SiriusXM Channel 89, and every morning on the SiriusXM app.
Fantasy football players, learn winning strategies right now on Fantasy Sports Radio to help you draft a winning team on Channel 87 and on the SiriusXM app.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
It's the 4th inning, presented by Bet365. At Bet365, you can bet live in-game on game props, totals, and the money line. Download the app and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19 plus, play responsibly. Ontario only. First to the 4th goes to Spencer Horwitz, and it's outside, ball 1. Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue. Show Ali, our host. Nick Blackmore, our producer. Tom Young, our technical director. 1-0 Blue Jays in the 1-0. Low ball 2. Bailey Ober, pitch efficient today. 43 pitches through 3 is 2-0. Outside ball 3, and we've rarely seen this. Falling behind a hitter, 3 balls and no strikes. He does it here to start the 4th. Rio down the middle, strike 1.
That fastball right there, only 91 miles an hour. Again, he doesn't throw hard. He's not an overpowering guy, but such a good mix of pitches.
3-1 heater at the knees, 90, and it's strike 2. You see the big frame of a guy like Ober, you think it's going to be high velocity. Former Blue Jay reliever John Rauch was the tallest pitcher in Major League history, and he didn't throw very hard. 3-2 pitch, hit in the air, down the left field line into foul territory. Lewis, the third baseman, going back, makes a nice over-the-shoulder catch. 1 out.
Yeah, I thought Trevor Larnach, the left fielder, was going to catch that ball, but Royce Lewis came out of nowhere, making a little over-the-shoulder basket catch. That is a tough play going out to left field in foul territory.
We've seen Lewis a little bit on the offensive side run gingerly in this series. He is a guy who's torn the ACL in his right knee twice. He got moved in there back from third and covered a lot of ground. Pitch now to Addison Barger, swinging and a miss, strike one.
Interesting development. Ryan Yarbrough is actually warming up in that Blue Jays bullpen.
3 innings for Yariel Rodriguez, about 60 pitches thrown. Swing by Barger, and he lifts the 0-1 into deep left field. Going back, Larnach turns and makes the catch on the track, 2 outs. Yeah, perhaps pre-planned for Rodriguez to not go that many pitches. Perhaps it's just the erratic nature of some of his pitches today. Maybe it's the fact the Blue Jays have a lot of off days coming up, a bullpen that's well rested, and an extra guy in that pen because of September call-ups. Who knows?
Maybe it's the fact that Ryan Yarbrough has been lights out in that bullpen, coming out of that bullpen.
Pitch to Leo Jimenez. Strike one. Blue Jays did have action in the bullpen during the 3rd inning before Rodriguez got the ground ball double play to end the 3rd. 0-1. Swing and a ground ball. Foul left side, 0-2. And maybe the Blue Jays want to keep Yarbrough regular with his action. They could have Yarbrough be a starter in a 6-man rotation in September if they want. 0-2. Down and away, 1-2.
Although there's so many off days in September, do they need a six-man rotation?
And maybe the solution instead is that Yarbrough piggybacks with different guys at different times.
Maybe.
But you're right, 5 off days in September, so it almost would be overkill to have the 6-man rotation. As Ober spikes another one, it's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Jimenez.
Which seems like a wild amount of off days, considering we're just getting off of an 18-game and 17-day trip.
Maybe a little bit more regular off days would have been nice, but it's okay. 2-2. High ball 3. Jimenez 0 for 1, a fly out to right, trying to keep this 4th going. Bases empty, 2 down. 1-0 Blue Jays and the 3-2 pitch. Outside, ball 4. Walk for Leo Jimenez with 2 outs. And with the inning continuing, let's go to the out-of-town scoreboard. Brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Devilishly good since Toronto first raised the trophy in '92. Rib Sanity is on now until September 8th. All you can eat ribs for $27.99. Visit stlouiswings.com for details. Always devilishly good. Red Sox in Detroit, trailing the Tigers 2-1. We saw the debut of Rich Hill this season, and in this game he gave up a 2-run homer to Spencer Torkelson. Now Joey Loperfido at the plate takes ball 1 up high. Other AL East scores: 7-2 St. Louis over the Yankees, top of the 5th. And the Tampa Bay Rays are trailing the San Diego Padres 2-0 in the 4th inning in St. Petersburg, while the Rockies and Orioles just got underway scoreless in the 1st. Ryan Jeffers is going to go out to the mound and talk to his starter Bailey Ober, who just walked Leo Jimenez after getting ahead of him and threw a first pitch ball to Joey Loperfido.
Yeah, I think the most alarming thing is you get ahead of Leo Jimenez 0-2, and then you end up walking him, and now you're behind to this next batter, Joey Loperfido, 1-0. Something's not right.
And Ober's been great today. Gave up that 1st inning homer to Clement, but hasn't allowed a hit since. Just a 2-out walk this inning and a 2-out walk in the 3rd have been his only blemishes after the home run. 1-0. Changeup gets him back in the zone, called strike.
And I imagine Yariel Rodriguez's day is done. He's on the front step, leaning over that short wall in front of the dugout. Generally, the starter's in the shade if they're still in the game.
1-1. Swing and a bouncing ball hooked to second base, picked up by Julien, who throws out Loperfido and ends the inning. No runs, no hits. 1 left for the Blue Jays. They're up 1-0. We'll see if it's Yariel Rodriguez when we return in the bottom of the 4th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
We're two men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikey's accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're two men in a truck.
Two men and a truck, the movers who care.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Marshall smashes the ball to right field. It's gone!
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Bottom of the fourth inning and a new pitcher on for the Blue Jays. After 3 scoreless and 57 pitches from Yariel Rodriguez, Ryan Yarbrough is in the game for the Blue Jays with Toronto up 1-0.
And Yariel didn't really look poor. Like he didn't really pitch poorly in this ballgame. I think that it was just the first inning where he was really erratic, threw a lot of pitches.
Pinch hitter for the Twins, Austin Martin in the first pitch, strike one.
And then in the second, third inning, he started mixing in that split finger. That really changed things around for him.
And it'll be interesting to hear the comments of John Schneider and Yariel Rodriguez after the game on whether this was planned or not. 0-1. Fastball lifted by Martin, foul right side, out of play, 0-2. Typically, if you're asking Ryan Yarbrough for length, he knows that a few days in advance because he's thrown a lot of pitches. It would not shock me if the Blue Jays were only planning for 55, 60 pitches from Rodriguez going into this one. John Schneider doesn't speak before games on Sundays, though, so we didn't hear. 0-2 pitch, hit down the left field line, foul again. Still 0-2.
Yeah, and in Ryan Yarbrough's last game on August 22nd against the Angels, he threw 60 pitches. So he is definitely used to throwing some length. 5 innings in that ball game.
0-2. High, 1-2. Yarbrough did pitch in the resumed game for the Blue Jays that reverted back to late June. I believe he threw 3 1/3 in that one. 1-2. Inside, and it hit Martin on the back of the calf. Breaking ball got away from Yarbrough, and he will hit the first batter that he faces in this game. It's a leadoff base runner for the Twins. I hate to bring this up, Chris.
So June 26th, I just went back on the game logs.
Not that. Although I'm so done with the record-keeping idiosyncrasies of a suspended game. But what the Blue Jays are doing right now, for whatever reason they're doing it, is not dissimilar to what they did in Game 2 of the wild card last year. Pitch now to Royce Lewis, outside ball 1. Now, who knows the reason for it today? But they just had Austin Martin come in for Trevor Larnach. Martin, a bottom of the order guy for the Twins. Larnach hits in the middle. Max Kepler, another lefty in this game, could be substituted out. They might be forcing the hand here of Rocco Baldelli. 1-0. Swing and a miss. 1-1. And this was the idea behind what the Blue Jays did last year when they brought Yusei Kikuchi out of the bullpen in that playoff game. In some ways, it did not work. In some ways, they gave up 2 runs in the game and got shut out. But in some ways, it did not work. Throw over to first by Yarbrough. Martin back in standing. And whether they intend to do the same strategy today or it's more about the health of Yariel Rodriguez or who knows, they are kind of doing it again.
Yeah, but I also hate to say this. Jose Barrios pitched well in that game. Yusei Kikuchi actually also pitched well in that game. The offense was just the part of the game that really didn't do much. 1-1
pitch outside, 2-1. Yeah, you can't win a game if you don't score any runs. Blue Jays found that out night 1 of this series. Twins found it out night 2. This is the rubber match. Toronto up 1-0, bottom of the 4th. Runner on first, and the 2-1 to Royce Lewis. Swing and a foul ball, 2-2. Yarborough's going to be mid-80s with his fastball, maybe top out at 88, 89. Big curveball. That's been a huge pitch for him in his time as a Blue Jay and over the course of his career. 2-2. Hit on the ground to first, bobbled by Horwitz, so he'll just go to first base for the safe out. Martin up to second. Might have been a tough play anyway for Horwitz, the right-handed first baseman. It'll be a ground out, and now runner in scoring position for the Twins with 1 down.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if Spencer Horwitz fielded that ball cleanly, if he would have been able to turn to second base, make an easy throw, because he's a right-handed first baseman. The runner is in that throwing lane. That's why left-handed first basemen are so coveted, because they can turn, they can throw to second base, and the runner's not in that lane.
And maybe it's what makes the throws of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. so impressive, too, a righty first baseman. Max Kepler, the lefty hitter, remains in to face the southpaw Yarbrough and takes outside, ball 1.
The best right-handed first baseman, they have that two-seamer down pat, you know, where they can throw over the runner. That's pretty impressive. I don't know if Vlad does that, but
1-0 is lined to right field, but it's going to hook foul, 1-1.
But Vlad has thrown to second base, fielding that ground ball, thrown to second base right over the shoulder of runners sometimes. Pretty impressive, actually.
Guerrero getting the day off, as is George Springer, Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, and Will Wagner. 1-1. Swing and a miss at the curve. Ugly hack there from Kepler, a left-handed hitter, 1-2.
Will Wagner, the veteran, getting the day off.
Hey, you pick up 5 hits and set a new Blue Jays rookie single-game record, you could take a day. Inside move by Yarbrough. He spins around to second and looks at Austin Martin, who just walks back to the back. Tough spot for Max Kepler, going left on left with Yarbrough. Ryan Yarbrough's allowed a 132 average to left-handed hitters this year. His pitch. Swing and a fly ball. Right field line. Horwitz going back into foul territory and crashing into the seats. Making the catch is Leo Jimenez, but tagging from second. Martin, throw to the plate, and they got him. My goodness, what a play. Leo Jimenez goes all the way over the padding into the seats. Addison Barger whips the ball back to the plate, but some concern now down the right field line as Jimenez is still down in the aisle of the seats right now, and Blue Jays are waving over the medical staff to come in and check on the rookie who completely sold out to catch that ball.
Well, you could hear while Leo Jimenez and Spencer Horwitz were running back in foul territory towards that short wall out there, you could hear somebody say, "You got room, you got room." And Leo Jimenez certainly did not have room. He went crashing over that short wall. I don't know what's going on out there. Obviously something is going on, but John Schneider's out there. Jose Ministral, the head trainer, is out there. And Leo Jimenez is just sitting on the ground, actually in the first row of stands.
Good that he's sitting up at least. And the Blue Jays are helping him up now. And he is putting weight on both legs. He appears to be holding his hip or upper right leg. You hope he's okay. Deserved applause from Target Field. And as scary as it is right now, that is one of the great catches of this season, maybe the last handful of seasons. Jimenez flipping over the waist-high wall to make the play. And then some credit to the heads-up from Barger to whip it into the plate to get Martin, who was trying to take 180 feet, tagging from second.
Leo actually caught that baseball a split second before his knees hit that short wall, and then he went crashing into the stands, into that net there. I think he was actually tangled in that net.
I believe he ripped some of the net down from where it was, and he's still talking with Jose Ministral. I think also potentially they are going to redo a bit of the last play because Leo went out of play. So Austin Martin shouldn't have been tagging and advancing like that ball was still in play. I believe that Martin is going to move up 90 feet to third. He's not going to be out at the plate, and rather this bottom of the fourth is going to continue.
I also can't believe that someone was yelling, "You got room, you got room."
In fairness, I didn't hear it as much as you heard it. In fairness, they could have been talking to Horwitz, who was jogging back there at a much slower pace. And Jimenez kind of came out of nowhere at the last second. It was really Horwitz with a beat on that ball. And it looks like Leo Jimenez is going to remain in this game. We'll have to wait and see, but he's taken his hat and his glove back from Spencer Horwitz. And I think that Leo is going to continue on after crashing quite literally into the stands.
Yeah, you could see Spencer Horwitz actually celebrating that call, signaling an out call like an umpire would, and then Addison Barger with the heads-up play reaching in to Leo's glove, taking out that ball and throwing home. That's pretty impressive, actually.
Didn't matter. Martin shouldn't have been advancing anyway, but like you said, smart thinking. And when we do get back underway, it'll be 2 outs and a runner on third. 1-0 Blue Jays, bottom of the fourth. Ryan Yarbrough got a couple warm-up pitches in just to make sure that he stays fresh. Leo Jimenez about to slip his cap back on, although I believe he lost his PitchCom speaker that he uses to hear what pitch is being called. So he was asking about that for a sec. Brooks Lee's about to come up for the Twins. Lee steps in, left on right. Here's the pitch from Yarbrough. Just low, ball one.
I think that netting actually saved him from going deeper into the stands. Cushioned the fall just a little bit.
One-0. Outside 2-0.
And those last two fastballs from Yarbrough were 86 miles an hour. We've seen him gas it up to 88, 89. It's in the tank, but I think that he feels more comfortable throwing 85, 86 miles an hour. A little bit more life on the baseball as well.
And you would certainly not describe him as max effort. 2-0. Swing and a fly ball, shallow right field. Going out there, Jimenez makes a much easier catch this time in shallow right center. And the inning is over. Highlight reel catch in foul territory over near right field. Leo Jimenez flies into the stands to make the play. And the Blue Jays are still on top 1-0 after 4. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Tap into sound experiences.
Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with us tonight for this Toronto Blue Jays matchup. Are you an insider yet? Have you hit that subscribe button? Please join our awesome community of Toronto sports fans right here on Toronto Sports Insider, where we go live every single Toronto sports game. Blue Jays, we've got Leaf season coming up, Argos games, Raptors season in the fall. It's all here on Toronto Sports Insider. Thanks for joining our team, and we'll see you guys back in the chat.
Has everything a college football fan needs.
He's in trouble and down he goes. The ball comes out.
All the big games are on the SiriusXM app.
Down the sidelines midfield. It's a race. Picking them up, putting them down.
Plus, hear daily in-depth analysis on College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
There's not a lot of holes or weaknesses on that football team, and they've got the goods where you want to have the goods for a championship caliber roster.
Our experts get you ready for game day every day on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
I'm Rocco Mediate. Music and golf are coming together on Rolling the Rock with Alice Cooper and me. I'll talk with the rock and roll legend about his career and passion for the game that we all love.
Trevino hits that little low shot that skips and stops. I said, oh my gosh, he sculled the ball until it landed about 4 feet from the pin. And it was so much fun.
Here, Rolling the Rock with Alice Cooper and me, Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern on PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 in the car, and the SiriusXM app.
Hey everyone, it's Justin Turbin at your 24/7 home for hoops all year long is SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86 and the SiriusXM app. Just search NBA Radio.
At Radio Network.
Inning is brought to you by Desjardins Financial Group. Desjardins awarded another 150 grants worth $20,000 each to entrepreneurs across Canada. See how Desjardins cheered on small biz at goodsparkgrants.ca.
Thank you, Chris. Davis Schneider leading off the fifth. Just swung and missed. Now he hits the 0-1 pitch on the ground, and it's foul, 0-2. Blue Jays up 1-0 on the Minnesota Twins, still on the back of that first inning homer by Ernie Clement. Bailey Ober's 0-2. Swing and another ground ball foul. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Show Ali's our host, Nick Blackmore our producer, Tom Young our technical director. And the 0-2. High, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Defensively for the Twins, Austin Martin now in left field. He pinch hit in the spot of Trevor Larnach in the 4th. 1-2 pitch is roped down the left field line, but it's going to go foul. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, they tried to go down and in with a changeup, left it over the middle. Davis Schneider was right on that thing. I'd be surprised if they don't throw an elevated heater here.
Schneider struck out looking on a high fastball in the 2nd. 1-2 again. Went high fastball, but Schneider tipped it off of the mask of the catcher and into the netting. Only 66 pitches for Ober, who's thrown 5 in this frame to Schneider. Top of the 5th, no outs. Ober's pitch. Down and away, 2-2.
And this is an incredibly important game for the Minnesota Twins, sitting at 73 and 62 on the season. They are very much in the wild card race.
Holding the 3rd wild card spot right now, and they're still in their divisional race too, only 3.5 back of Cleveland, who's also gone through some struggles like Minnesota. 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. They go up and in with a fastball, and Schneider waves and misses for the first out of the 5th.
Davis Schneider is now 1 for his last 38 with 21 strikeouts.
It has been a tough month of August for Schneider. After July and late June were not too friendly to him either. Luis De Los Santos back up with the Blue Jays, batting for the 2nd time in this game. First pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 1. De Los Santos left the Blue Jays on a high note, had those 2 hits in a game against Oakland. Went down to AAA over the last couple weeks and batted in the 280s with a mid-800s OPS. Now back up in Toronto. 0-1. Swing and a fly ball, right field. Moving to right center, Max Kepler makes the catch, 2 outs. Let's go to the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. Mets playing the White Sox today in Chicago, and Francisco Lindor with a homer to make it a 1-0 lead for the Mets. Lindor has now reached in 30 straight games, the longest active on-base streak in baseball. Pitch to Brian Servant. Swing and a pop-up near first base. Moving forward, Jose Miranda now angles toward the bag and makes a 2-handed catch to end the inning. All of our out-of-town scores brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. The score at Target Field in Minneapolis, 1-0 Blue Jays, middle of the 5th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
This is Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum and host of the award-winning podcast, Black Diamonds. This week, we reflect on the historic Major League Baseball game played at Rickwood Field, once the home of the Birmingham Black Barons.
They never lost their love for the game, and they never lost hope for what America could become. So it gave me the idea and the feeling that maybe you should continue to hold on to hope.
Listen to Black Diamonds right now on the all-new SiriusXM app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You love listening to baseball. You love talking about baseball, and so do we. That's why SiriusXM has the only channel on the radio dedicated to baseball 24/7. It's MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89. News, opinions, passionate baseball talk from former players and GMs, plus interviews with players, managers, and executives, original specials, and much, much, much more. All baseball, every day, on your radio. If you can hear me right now, you've got MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app.
The most important person in sports is you, the fan.
Let me tell you something. I'm a real fan.
And your place for sports talk is Mad Dog Sports Radio, where your voice is heard all day long.
I couldn't wait to get into the truck, turn on 82.
Sharing the thrill of victory.
The joy, the jubilation. I can't stop smiling.
And the agony of defeat.
When is this franchise going to realize people really care about this?
Passionate sports fans call 888-MAD-DOG-6.
You gotta love sports.
Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, or anytime on the SiriusXM app.
SiriusXM NFL Radio is your home for the National Football League all year long on Channel 88 and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue. Show Ali, our host. Nick Blackmore, our producer. Tom Young, our technical director. 1-0 Blue Jays, bottom of the 5th. And Ryan Yarbrough starts against the bottom of the order, except rather than Edouard Julien hitting, it's pinch hitter for the Twins. Switch hitter Carlos Santana replaces the Canadian lefty swinger. Second inning of work for Yarbrough, who hit a batter that was all back in the 4th. Left on right pitch. Santana takes strike 1. 3 scoreless innings in this game from Yariel Rodriguez. Ryan Yarbrough trying to keep a pitcher's duel going against Bailey Ober. 0-1. Outside.
Carlos Santana is actually a lot better facing left-handed pitching. He's hitting .295 this season from the right side of the plate and only .215 from the left side of the plate.
1-1. Swing and a ground ball to third. Picked up there by De Los Santos. Throw across the diamond to first. And there's one out.
This injury report is brought to you by Bergmanis Pereira Personal Injury Lawyers. If life has thrown you a curveball and you're striking out with your insurance company, get ahead of the count. Call Bergmanis Pereira Personal Injury Lawyers. You focus on getting better, and Bergmanis Pereira will take care of the rest. Visit bplawyers.ca.
In real time injury report. Leo Jimenez still on the field for the Blue Jays, playing second base here in the bottom of the 5th. Pitch to Willie Castro, another switch hitter batting right, and he swings and drives the ball center field. Backing up low, Perfido backpedaling in front of the track, makes a two-handed catch. 2 outs.
And it's almost a miracle that he's still in this ball game, the way he went crashing into the stands in foul territory.
Yeah, if you weren't with us last inning, foul ball hit in the air down the right field line, slicing into the seats. Looked like Spencer Horwitz was going to try to catch it up against the netting, and Jimenez flew in behind him, caught it, and was upended by that waist-high wall, flipped over it, but was all right and is still in the game. Jose Miranda up now for the Twins, 2 for 2, and he takes strike 1. Injury news on the Twins side. Manuel Margot put on the 10-day injured list today with a groin injury that he suffered running the bases yesterday. A 1 pitch hit on the ground and picked up at third by De Los Santos. He spins and throws out Miranda to end a 1-2-3 inning. Very nice in the hot corner from Luis De Los Santos, and a 1-2-3 inning from Ryan Yarbrough. We head to the 6th. Blue Jays 1, Twins nothing. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
The Blue Jays are inviting you to work from Dome. Put it in your calendar. 307 weekdays starts this season. You can work from Dome with friends or coworkers at Rogers Center. It's a game changer. Make the ballpark your office for the afternoon. Work from Dome, 307 weekday starts. Let's touch base. Check out ticket options on bluejays.com/workfromdome.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's Building Center. Visit timbermart.ca.
I am by your side. Got a heart so big, on this you can rely. No mountains too tall for the strong boots to climb. I am by your side.
That was Desjardins Insurance, playing insurance with a heart so big it shows. Tune in for your auto and home coverage at desjardins.com/heart.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Fastball painted at the bottom of the zone, and that's back-to-back strikeouts.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The 6th inning is brought to you by Desjardins Financial Group. Desjardins is a big fan of small biz. That's why they awarded another $3 million to small business owners across the country. See how Desjardins cheered on small biz this year at goodsparkgrants.ca.
Thank you very much, Chris. Top of the 6th inning, 1-0 Blue Jays over Twins. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Nathan Lucas hits the first pitch from Bailey Ober foul, and it's 0-1. Next offering, called strike at the top of the zone, 0-2. Bit of a jigsaw puzzle in the infield for the Twins after they lifted Edouard Julien in the 5th for pinch hitter Carlos Santana. First the 0-2 to Lucas. Hit foul, left field line, still 0-2. So Julien was playing second. Santana comes into his spot. They put Santana at first, move the first baseman Miranda to third, and the third baseman Royce Lewis will make his first ever Major League appearance at second base. 0-2. Downstairs, Lucas started to swing but holds back. This had been a possibility for Lewis to play some second base. It was mentioned over the last couple weeks. One-two. Swing and a foul back, still 1-2. And Rocco Baldelli pretty recently said, quote, I would never close the door by saying, no, it's not going to happen, in reference to Lewis playing second, but it's also far from a guarantee that we'll see him in any games at second this season. Clearly, he ended up in a game at second. 1-2. Up and in, 2-2.
Wait, when did Rocco say that?
4 days ago, I think. 4 or 5 days ago.
Well, there you go. Just like that.
Can't predict the future. 2-2. Swing and a foul ball hit high in the air left field line that'll slice out of play.
Pretty good job staying alive there by Lucas. That was a tough changeup at the bottom of the strike zone. He was out in front and kind of just kept the bat back and flicked the barrel at it.
Third plate appearance for Lucas. He walked last time up, popped out in foul territory the first time. Another 2-2. Outside ball 3. He's really worked this count. 8 pitches.
Yeah, he's another one of those batters that the Blue Jays have brought up from Buffalo, along with Will Wagner, along with Spencer Horwitz, guys that really put together good at-bats.
Here's Bailey Ober's 80th pitch of the game. Swing and another one, spoiled foul to the left. Lucas is going to take a walk out of the dirt circle and wipe some sweat from his forehead.
Well, he's exhausted. He's about to see his 10th pitch of the at-bat.
Blue Jays trying to extend their lead up 1-0. Only one hit for Toronto. 3-2. Down and in, ball 4. Lucas checked his swing on a back foot cutter by Ober, and it's the second walk of the day for Nathan Lucas.
And that is just a tough AB, a professional at-bat from a veteran guy. I know that he hasn't had much big league time, but he is in fact a veteran guy.
30-year-old Lucas gives way now to the 28-year-old Ernie Clement, whose solo home run is the difference in the game. 1 for 2 on the day. The pitch. Swing and a soft liner. One hopper to short, and it's bobbled right there by Brooks Lee. Everyone is safe as Clement stops at first, and over to second is Nathan Lucas with nobody out.
And that's a big play in this ball game. The Blue Jays really need an extra run, an insurance run. They're only up 1-0 with nobody out here in the 6th inning.
It's kind of an awkward play for Lee, who froze and then tried to play it off the bounce, and it hit him on the palm. We'll see if that goes as an error or a hit. Bailey Ober was looking up at the sky. He thought he had a double play ball. Pitch now to Spencer Horwitz is hit high in the air down the right field line, hooking foul.
Yeah, Bailey Ober kind of bent over at the waist there, frustrated that play wasn't made, but maybe not a double play, but definitely at least one out on that play.
They do rule it an error. 0-1. Swing and another foul ball, 0-2.
That would have been a tough play for Lee to field that short hop, turn across his body, make the throw to second base, and then get Ernie Clement at first. But he definitely would have had Clement at first base if he fielded that ball.
So Lucas on second, Clement on first, nobody out. Horwitz will ask for time. First time we're seeing the Twins bullpen get active today after the walk and the error. Cole Sands, a right-hander, is up for Minnesota. Oh, 2. High, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
One thing Bailey Ober does do quite often, when he gets ahead 0-2 in the count, he'll throw a fastball either elevated or just a sinker away. Another thing he also does is lead off guys with off-speed stuff.
Pitches backwards a little bit. 6'9" righty, looks at second, kicks and delivers. Fastball on the outside corner, strike 3. Perfect pitch by Ober, gets Horwitz for the first out of the 6th.
Yeah, that's a tough pitch. Spencer Horwitz just watches that pitch go by. Again, not overpowering, 91 miles an hour, but perfectly placed on the outside corner.
So 1 down and Addison Barger up, trying to extend his 9-game hit streak. First and second, 1 out, and Ober's pitch. Inside. It's been a remarkable run for Barger, who has hits in 9 straight, and if you counted the suspended game, it would be 10 in a row for Barger, who doubled in that suspended game as well. 1-0. Called strike. Last time as a professional in general, Barger had a hit streak this long. You got to go back to June 2022 when he was with the New Hampshire Fisher Cats in Double-A. He had 11 in a row. Swings at the 1-1 and hits it back foul, 1-2. Extended the streak yesterday with a pair of hits. 2-run homer off Zebby Matthews in the second, and then a single off position player Kyle Farmer in the 9th. 1-2. Foul tip, strike 3, gets him on the changeup. Again, perfectly placed on the outside corner, 2 down.
Yeah, decent amount of fade to that changeup as well. Pretty good movement. Looked like it was right down the middle and fooled Addison Barger. You could see him frustrated with that swing.
So 2 down, and Leo Jimenez up to the plate, 0 for 1 with a walk. Lucas on second, Clement on first. Blue Jays up 1-0 on the Twins, trying to take this series. And the pitch. Strike 1. Let's go to the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. Chris, I'll give you the choice. Yankees or across the pond?
Yankees.
Yankees losing right now, 7-5 to the St. Louis Cardinals in the 6th. 0-1. Swing and a foul back, 0-2.
Let's go across the pond.
All right, well, across the pond in the English Premier League, 3 big results today. Chelsea drops points to Crystal Palace, a 1-1 draw. Tottenham loses to Newcastle 2-1. Late goal by Alexander Isak in that one. And Liverpool dominates Manchester United 3-0. 0-2 pitch, inside, 1-2.
Did Nottingham Forest play today?
They didn't. They played yesterday.
I just like the name of that team.
Nottingham Forest?
Or the city, yeah.
They drew Wolverhampton Wolves 1-1, which is kind of a great name matchup right there. 1-2 to a big soccer fan, Leo Jimenez. Swing and a miss, strike 3. After the leadoff walk and the error, 3 straight strikeouts for Bailey Ober, who's trying to keep the Twins in this one. Blue Jays 1, Twins 0. We're going to the bottom of the 6th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Here's what's happening on Sirius XM Sports.
The calendar has turned to September, and the chase for the postseason is on MLB Network Radio. Their tripleheader coverage is underway with the Yankees hosting the Cardinals, followed by Dodgers Diamondbacks and Braves Phillies on Sirius XM Channel 89 and on the Sirius XM app.
Sirius XM Sports, wherever you are, your team plays here.
This is Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum and host of the award-winning podcast, Black Diamonds. This week, we discuss the career of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, power hitter of all time, the legendary Josh Gibson.
To receive the award with Josh Gibson's name on it, because all everybody ever talked about was Babe Ruth. It just hit different.
Listen to Black Diamonds right now on the all-new Sirius XM app or wherever you get your podcasts.
While you're listening to this game on SiriusXM, we're talking about the latest odds and prop bets for this and every game on Sports Grid Radio.
The under's minus 125. Heavy juice to the under.
Every home run hit and every strikeout thrown can change the line.
I can't for the life of me figure out how you can favor a team that never wins, ever.
If you're looking for sports talk centered around the latest odds and prop bets for games, races, tournaments, or any sporting event, Sports Grid Radio, SiriusXM, Channel 159.
The Blue Jays are in flight, leading 3-0.
Blue Jays fans, this is Ross Atkins, and you're listening to Blue Jays Baseball on Sirius XM.
A Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome to the Timbermart broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Bottom of the 6th inning, and the Blue Jays still leading 1-0 on the back of their first inning home run from Ernie Clement. Ryan Yarbrough back out for a third inning of work, deals to Matt Wallner. Swing and a fly ball left field. Moving toward the line, Nathan Lucas tries to reach into the seats. Hits off the hands of a fan. Not sure Lucas had a play on it anyway. Foul ball, 0-1. Ryan Yarbrough lights out since he entered this ball game. Hit the first batter he faced in Austin Martin and then retired 6 straight, including only throwing 6 pitches in the 5th.
Just mixing it up, not overpowering, just mixing it up.
Left on left is 0-1 to Wallner. Outside, 1-1. Wallner is one of the left-handed hitters they've decided to leave in this game. Rocco Baldelli has already lifted Trevor Larnach and Edouard Julien. 1-1. Swing and a line drive left field. Moving in. Lucas catches it face high. 1 out.
That's about the best contact that they've made off of Ryan Yarbrough. Good line drive the other way, but Nathan Lucas catches that right at the chest for the easy out.
And after facing the lefty, it looks like the day is over for Ryan Yarbrough, who faces 1 above the minimum in a scoreless 2 1/3 innings of work. As he hands the ball over to John Schneider in a 1-0 game, we'll hand you over to today's host in baseball control. Here's Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. Before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Don't forget, we do have Jays Talk today. Nick Ashbourne is here at Baseball Control with me. You can send us your calls and your texts, 590-590. Name and location. That's the People's Text Line. It is always open. Standard data and messaging rates may apply. Numbers-wise, I'll throw those out for you to call after the final out. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. First, actually, a Blue Jays update. The Jays announcing early in the game between the first and second innings that right-handed pitcher Dylan Tate has been claimed off waivers from the Orioles. He has a .381 ERA and 191 1/3 innings pitched over the last 4 seasons for the Orioles, though injuries have largely played a factor in his release by Baltimore. Either way, he has been optioned to Buffalo. Paolo Espino has been DFA'd to make room. Let's get over to the Paralympics in France. Yesterday, Team Canada adding a pair of silver medals in the pool. Tess Routliffe and Nicholas Bennett both getting on the podium. Routliffe taking her silver in the women's 200-meter individual medley 8 years after the same result in Rio de Janeiro. Bennett, meanwhile, grabbing the first Paralympic medal of his career in the men's 200-meter freestyle. Today, the 6-time Paralympian Brent Lakatos claimed his first medal of the Games, a silver in the men's 400-meter final. It's the first medal of the Games for Canada in athletics. Earlier in the day, Aurélie Rivard captured her second medal of these Games, a silver in the women's 100-meter freestyle S10, after grabbing a bronze in the 50-meter freestyle S10 as well. Blue Jays baseball is, as always, brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action at Target Field with the call. Here's Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue.
Thank you, show righty Zach Pop is into the game for the Blue Jays in a pretty big spot. We're in the 6th inning, 1 out and the base is empty, but the Blue Jays only holding on to a 1-0 lead right now. They call on the Brampton native to make his 50th appearance of the year.
And Zach Pop has been a completely different guy the last 4 appearances or so. The fastball has more life to it. Even the velocity is a little bit better. It's been sitting at 97, 98 miles an hour. Let's see what he's got here.
Pop deals to the right-handed hitting catcher Ryan Jeffers. Sinker was borderline, but it popped out of the glove of Servin, and it's called ball 1.
Well, that looked like a strike to me, but you can tell that sink on his fastball it drops instead of kind of fading like it has a lot this season. A lot tougher to hit.
Hops 1-0. Swing and a fly ball left field. Going back, Lucas makes the catch in front of the track. 2 outs. Left that sinker up, but just jammed Jeffers enough to make sure that it stayed in the yard. And now with 2 down, here comes 2020 5th overall pick by the Blue Jays, Austin Martin. Martin was the first guy to face Ryan Yarbrough back in the 4th inning when he pinch hit in the spot of Trevor Larnach. Hit by a pitch then, so he's up now for the 2nd time. Takes first pitch sinker, 97, strike 1.
It's a good pitch right there. First pitch, first strike. It's very important for Zach Pop.
Oh, 1. Swing and a line drive, right field. Barger moves in, leaps, and makes the catch a little behind him. Misjudged it, but recovered to make the play and end the inning. Blue Jays pitchers combined for a 1-2-3 bottom of the 6th. Then we go to the 7th. Toronto up 1-0. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center. Streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
We're 2menintruck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2menintruck.ca. So when you gotta move, I'll move one day. Think 2menintruck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2menintruck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control center.
What's up, Blue Jays fans? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight for the Toronto Blue Jays matchup. Please take a minute and exit out of the chat and hit that thumbs up button. Please smash that like button. We really need your help so we can get more Blue Jays fans and baseball fans here in the chat so we can have a great time here watching the Blue Jays game against the Red Sox. We'll see you guys back in the chat. Let's have some fun tonight. Let's keep it classy. Go Blue Jays, go.
Monday, did you know the day before Monday? Junior J Sunday, you can paint your face. Come and meet Ace and run base to base. Junior J Sunday, so many things to do. You can bring your crew and even mom and dad too. Junior J Sunday.
Sundays are for Junior Jays, and with all kinds of cool new games and activities in the exciting outfield district areas, there's no end to the family fun you'll have.
If you're feeling the song, grab your dad or mom, visit BlueJays.com. Junior J Sunday.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Swanson staring at second. Comes home with a 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
7th inning in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and a new pitcher for the Minnesota Twins. Cole Sands takes over after an impressive start from Bailey Ober. The Twins starter goes 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts.
Well, he was great. He mixed it up. Even though that fastball isn't overpowering, the changeup was just the difference maker for him today.
Now Sands into the game, misses down and into Joey Loperfido, ball 1. 51st game of the year for Cole Sands. Earned run average right at 3. 1-0. Bounced foul, 1-1. Sands leads with his cutter that he just used to get a foul ball from Loperfido, but has a mid to high 90s fastball, a splitter, a curve, and a sinker as well. 1-1. Missed up top with the splitter, 2 balls, 1 strike.
I never understood that. Guys that throw mid to upper 90s, they lead with something else. Interesting.
Maybe they like their fat four-seamer as the strikeout pitch?
Maybe.
2-1. 96 just misses away. 3-1.
Like that fastball right there, 96 miles an hour, a lot of run to it, some life through the zone. It's a good pitch.
Now the 3-1. Swing and a fly ball right center field, down in the gap, base hit. Loperfido goes around first and stops there. It's a line drive single for the Blue Jays center fielder, and only the 2nd Blue Jays hit today.
Well, Joey Loperfido actually was thinking too, rounding first base. Willie Castro fielded that ground ball, that line drive, and threw it into second base quickly. But I like the aggressive-ness. I like the swing. Let's see if he can get to second base.
3 stolen bases on the season for Loperfido, caught once. Pinch hitter now for the Blue Jays. Davis Schneider lifted. Will Wagner enters in his spot. Schneider was the DH today. He ends 0 for 2. Lefties do hit much better off Sands in the high 250s, maybe even in the 260s now after that Loperfido single. Righties, conversely, hit below 200 against Sands.
And you also have to wonder, is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. going to get the whole day off, the whole game? Is it a true off day for him?
We didn't hear from John Schneider today. I lean that the 4 more veteran guys are off today. Pitch to Will Wagner, called strike 0-1 between Kirk, Springer, Guerrero, Varsho. I could be wrong. Maybe in the 9th inning if they needed a big swing, one of them's available, but those 3 have played a lot, and I could see them getting the whole day. 0-1 to Wagner. Swing and a foul back, 0-2.
You're probably correct, but then you also have to think about the fact that the Jays have tomorrow off, they have Thursday off, then they have the next Thursday off. So there's a decent amount of off days coming up, but I think you're right.
Absolutely. I think the off days can play into it kind of both ways. 0-2 outside. I think some people will probably look at the lineup today and think, and I would understand this completely, why do all these guys need an off day today? There's an off day tomorrow. There's an off day on Thursday. But I think some are also looking at it and saying, okay, well, they can almost stack days together by giving them the off day today. 1-2 is high, 2-2. And then it's worth more than your typical off day if they had given it to them 7 days ago in the middle of this stretch.
Right. And those same people probably forget that the Jays are in an 18-game and 17-day run.
2-2. Wagner hits it on the ground right side, picked up by the second baseman Lewis. Spins, throws to second 1, back to first, not in time, a fielder's choice. Have to say, for his first play as a second baseman in the majors, Royce Lewis looked pretty comfortable starting that turn.
As he was spinning around, about to throw to second base, I was thinking, oh boy. And then he made the nice throw to second base, looking like a guy that's played second base pretty often.
And that was the best he could have done. I don't really think they at all had a shot at a double play with how slowly that was hit. So Lewis helps get the lead runner, and now Wagner on first and Luis De Los Santos up. 1 out, 1-0 Blue Jays, and the pitch is hit in the air to left field. Going back, Martin at the wall, and he's going to move to his left and make the catch for the second out. Oh, so close was Luis De Los Santos to a first major league home run. I think Cole Sands thought he gave it up as he let his head go way down to the ground, but looked up and saw Martin make the catch.
Well, yeah, Austin Martin actually thought that ball was gone too, had his bare hand against the wall, probably expecting to jump for that ball, but then he caught it pretty easily against that wall out in left field.
Middle and fastball, and De Los Santos just underneath it. 2 down, top of the 7th, runner on first, 1-0 Blue Jays. Pitch to Brian Serven, down and away, ball 1.
Yeah, Cole Sands' reaction was like he gave up a 500-foot home run.
Maybe the wind played a little bit there and knocking it down, wind coming in.
That's what De Los Santos was actually motioning to somebody in the dugout. He was saying the wind is blowing in from left field.
1-0. Swing and a one-hopper to second, picked up on the run by Lewis, and he makes another play over at second base, throwing it to first to end the inning. Blue Jays get a leadoff single, that's all. They leave the runner on, and at the 7th inning stretch, still 1-0 Toronto. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
So, you want to be a Looney Dogger, eh? Every Tuesday Blue Jays home game is Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. Grab $1 hot dogs from various concession stands around Rogers Center. Plus, stop by the Schneider's Porch, your hot dog headquarters. The destination for a one-of-a-kind hot dog experience with excellent ballpark views. So, whether you're the relish ringleader or seventh-inning snacker, no Blue Jays game is complete without hot dogs. Don't miss out on this delicious deal. Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
This is the best I've ever seen.
City TV has all the edge of your seat performances you can handle.
This is the most amazing season we've ever had.
America's Got Talent is doubling down on excitement.
Wow. Incredible. I'm blown away.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Better than any other season.
On the hunt for this season's winner.
You didn't know what was going to happen next.
America's Got Talent. All new Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 8/7 Central on City TV. Or stream it on City TV Plus.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Called strike 3, change up at the knees, and there's nothing you can do about that pitch.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back to Blue Jays Baseball. Show Ali with you. The Jays lead the Twins 1-0 as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning at Target Field. Quick check of the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard in the world of F1. The Italian Grand Prix today wrapping up this morning with a win for Ferrari in Italy. Charles Leclerc claiming his second victory of the F1 season in Monza, Italy. McLaren getting 2 drivers on the podium afterwards. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris both coming second and third respectively. But the scenes coming out of Monza with Ferrari winning were pretty crazy. I encourage you to go check it out. Premier League action, lots of games in the books already this weekend. From yesterday, 1-1 draws from Arsenal and Brighton, the Wolves and Nottingham Forest, and Ipswich and Fulham. Elsewhere, Aston Villa beat Leicester City 2-1, Bournemouth beating Everton 3-2, Brentford beating Southampton 3-1, and Man City beating West Ham 3-1 as well. From today's games, Newcastle beating Tottenham 2-1, Chelsea and Crystal Palace playing to a 1-1 draw, and in the Northwest Derby, Liverpool blanking Man U 3-0. Don't forget, we do have Jays Talk after this game as well. Nick Ashbourne is here at Baseball Control with me. You can send us your calls and your texts, 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text line. It is always open. Standard data and messaging rates may apply. I'll throw out the numbers for you to call after the final out. Blue Jays Baseball, as always, is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. The Jays lead it 1-0, bottom 7 at Target Field in Minnesota. Here's Ben Shulman and Chris LaRue.
Thank you very much, Joe. We'll be excited to hear later what you thought was more impressive. Blue Jays pitching through 6 innings, or the 2 goals from Liverpool's Luis Diaz today in the win over Man United. 1-0 for the Blue Jays. Bottom of the 7th, Royce Lewis leading off, and the pitch from Zach Pop is a fastball for strike 1. Second inning of work for Pop, who used only 4 pitches to get 2 outs in the 6th. Now gets Lewis Kepler-Lee in the 7th. Righty kicks and delivers. Sinker just low, 1-1. And on both pitches, Lewis has backed off the plate like it's going to hit him, even though it wasn't close.
Yeah, he's looked pretty uncomfortable, a little bit strange, actually. I don't know what he's doing up there.
Some funky motion and some interesting pitches from Pop. His 1-1 is a sinker hit softly down the third baseline. It's going to hook foul, 1-2.
And I'm telling you, he's figured something out. He's figured out the release point, maybe the arm angle. I have to talk to him when I see him, but that's something different. We haven't seen that fastball that just drops at 97 miles an hour at all this season. It's been more of a running fastball, kind of horizontal, but that one just dropped off the table. You can tell with the awkward swing of Royce Lewis.
Lewis taking an extra second, now steps in and taps the plate. Right on right matchup to start the bottom of the 7th. 1-2. Slider outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pop will use the slider and the cutter to complement the sinker, but about 3/4 of his pitches are sinkers. 2-2. Sinker down and away, full count.
Big pitch right here with the Blue Jays leading 1-0 in the bottom of the 7th inning. Nobody out. You don't want to put the leadoff guy on base here.
Payoff pitch. Inside, and it hit Lewis, I believe. Would be ball 4 anyway. It's going to be a leadoff base runner for the Twins.
Like I said, that's exactly what you don't want to have happen. You don't want to put the leadoff guy on, especially via the walk. We all know that comes back to bite you, especially when you put a guy on via the walk. But that pitch just got away from Zach Pop, kind of arm side high, almost hit Royce Lewis. I'm not sure if it did.
I think it skimmed his elbow. They called it a ball anyway, and no one's really arguing because it's the same result. And the other result of that is that it's going to be the last pitch that Zach Pop throws in the game. Left-handed hitter coming up in Max Kepler. The Blue Jays go to the lefty, Brendan Little. Let's go back to baseball control. Here's more from Show Ali.
Thank you very much, guys. Let's continue checking out the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. I mentioned some results at the Paralympics a couple of innings ago. In case you missed it, Brent Lakatos claiming his first medal of the games in the men's 400-meter final. It's actually the first medal of the games for Canada in athletics earlier today. Aurélie Rivard capturing her second medal of the games, a silver in the women's 100-meter freestyle S10 after grabbing a bronze in the 50-meter freestyle S10 in the pool. Elsewhere in France, the Canadian wheelchair rugby team was knocked out of the tournament following a 50-46 loss to top-seeded Japan. Canada finishing with a 1-2 record in the rugby tournament. And some results from the Canadian wheelchair basketball teams. First, the women beating Great Britain 64-54. Aaron Young scoring a game-high 26 points. Cindy Ouellette adding 19 points as well. They will play again versus Spain on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. The men's team, meanwhile, they lost to Great Britain 88-58. Canada will wrap up group play against Germany tomorrow morning. So that's Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Let's check out some headlines in football on our side of the Atlantic. The NFL season drawing nearer. The season opener is on Thursday night between the Chiefs and Ravens, which also means today is the last Sunday without NFL football until the Super Bowl in February. And some good news, 49ers rookie receiver Ricky Pearsall has been released from the hospital after being shot in the chest in an attempted robbery yesterday, but he is all right and has been sent home. Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action with Brendan Little now on the mound. Here's Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue.
Thank you, Show. 38th appearance of the year for the lefty Little, who enters to face left-handed hitter Max Kepler. Runner on first, nobody out. First pitch, strike, 0-1. Tense moments in these later stages of this game. Blue Jays up 1-0. Just the home run from Ernie Clement in the first has scored runs in this game. Next pitch is a curve cut on and missed. 0-2.
Tense moment, especially for the Minnesota Twins, who are barely hanging on to that third and final wild card spot.
And even though Boston's been on a tough run recently, they watched Detroit beat Boston for a second straight day today. The Tigers are coming up behind the Twins in both division and wild card. 0-2. In the dirt, check swing by Kepler. Appeal down to third. He didn't go. It's been a tough last run for the Twins. 9 of their last 12 have been losses. A lot of it has been because of tough starting pitching outings. That's not the case today. Bailey Ober gave up 1 in 6 innings. 1-2. Kepler hits it on the ground. Foul right side. Minnesota's trying to stay afloat. They've been in playoff position for a couple weeks, and they are hoping for and expecting returns from some big contributors. Could get a Byron Buxton back, maybe a Carlos Correa before the end of the season if they can just hang around. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Goes back to the curve and gets Kepler fishing on a pitch in the dirt. 1 out.
Yeah, that's what happens when you throw 95, 96 with good sink. Max Kepler was way out in front of that curveball from Brendan Little. A great pitch down below the strike zone for out number 1.
Brendan Little continuing to impress in what's been his first major league season through only 2/3 of an inning in the majors before this year. Brooks Lee's going to ask for time quickly before Little throws him a first pitch. Lee, the switch hitter, will bat from the right side for the second time today. Little's pitch. Down and in. Lee batted right in the 4th inning against Ryan Yarbrough, popped up to second base. Batting as a lefty against Yariel Rodriguez in the 2nd inning, he lined a ball to right center field. 1-0. Down and in again, 2-0.
You can see the frustration on Brendan Little's face. You don't want to fall behind 2-0 to this guy here, especially now that you have to throw something in the strike zone.
And this has actually been Lee's better side in the majors and minors this year. Step and throw over to first by Little to check on the runner Lewis, who gets back in standing up. Royce Lewis has not attempted a stolen base this year. Lee, though, between majors and minors has hit .321 as a right-handed hitter, .288 as a left-handed hitter. Swing and a bouncer to third, picked up by De Los Santos, and he throws it over second base into right field. Getting up from second, going to third, Lewis, and Barge's throw skips past third. The runners will hold, though, at the corners. De Los Santos had to work toward the foul line and make the throw back across his body, but he did throw it away for an error that allows both runners to be safe and on base.
And that is a tough break for Brendan Little for the Blue Jays. De Los Santos just wildly throwing it into right field, but I think the Blue Jays are lucky there that they kept that runner. Brooks Lee stays at first base, keeps the double play in order.
De Los Santos was trying to get the lead runner at second base there. And, I mean, if he got it there in time, they would have had Royce Lewis, but they wouldn't have had time for the double play anyway. Now it'll be runners on the corners, 1 out after the failed fielder's choice and error. And Pete Walker is talking to Brendan Little as the Blue Jays have double barrel action going in the bullpen. Lefty Genesis Cabrera and righty Tommy Nance both up and throwing.
I think what happened there is De Los Santos looked up, and Royce Lewis got a pretty good jump on that ground ball. So he looked up, and Royce Lewis was pretty close to second base. So it looked like he tried to rush it and got underneath the baseball, and that's why that baseball flew over Leo Jimenez and into right field.
First and third for the Twins, and a guy you want up in a big situation, Carlos Santana, who's done damage against the Blue Jays this year, steps up to the plate, batting for the second time today. Switch hitter bats right against Brendan Little. The lefty peaks at first, and the pitch. Bounce it to the plate. Good block off the chest by Servin. That was a high degree of difficulty for the catcher as that one skipped well in front of home plate, but it keeps both runners at first and third. And that might have bounced before the dirt on the grass.
That was about as good as it gets. Wow, that was a tough block. Keeps it right in front of him.
Now the 1-0. Swing and a ground ball to third. Up with it, De Los Santos. He's going to throw over to first for the out. Run comes in to score Royce Lewis. And it's a 1-1 game on an RBI ground out. Up to second base goes Brooks Lee.
And De Los Santos briefly looked at home to maybe get Royce Lewis, but he wouldn't have had a chance. He makes the right play going across the diamond, getting that sure out at first base.
If it's a forced play at the plate, I think he goes home. But because it was a tag play, takes the sure out. But now the Twins have tied it up without a hit in this inning. A leadoff walk by Zach Pop and an error on the failed fielder's choice are what have brought in the Twins run. It's 1-1, 2 outs, bottom of the 7th. Little looking in now at a third straight switch hitter. Willie Castro batting from the right side. The pitch. Curveball, low ball 1. Brooks Lee representing the go-ahead run on second, 2 down. And the pitch. Curveball again, low, 2-0. .52 RBIs on the season for Willie Castro, a hugely important player to Minnesota. No one on the Twins has played more games or had more plate appearances over the last 2 seasons than Willie Castro. 2-0 pitch, low, 3-0. Still two relievers throwing for the Blue Jays. Little facing his fourth batter. 3-0. Backdoor cutter for strike one.
And you don't want to give Willie Castro something to hit, but you also don't want to face Jose Miranda, who's coming up next, the Twins' best hitter.
(3-1). Called strike with another cutter. Put it on the inner half that time. It's 3-2.
Willie Castro definitely didn't like that call, shaking his head, going for a little bit of a walk. But I have to disagree. That is a good pitch on the inside part of the plate, down and in.
Full count, 2 outs, tie game, 1-1, bottom of the 7th. With a runner on second, Little sets, looks at second and delivers. Check swing on a pitch low, appeal down to first base. He did not go around. That's ball 4. Little walks to the back of the hill. Right-handed hitter Jose Miranda coming up, and that's going to spell the end of the day for Brendan Little, who comes in, should have got 3 outs if not for an error, but picks up 2 outs facing 4 batters. And we'll exit this one with runners on first and second. A tie game, 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. Tommy Nance about to come in. Let's go back to baseball control again. Here's some more of Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. Before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Don't forget, we do have Jays Talk today. Nick Ashbourne is here at Baseball Control with me. You can send us your calls and your texts. So we have the post-game show, 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text line, which is always open. I see a whole bunch of texts here already, so keep them coming. Standard data and messaging rates may apply. I'll also throw out the numbers for you to call after the final out. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. A couple of finals in the books across Major League Baseball already. The Boston Red Sox losing in Detroit to the Tigers 4-1. The Tigers beating the Red Sox again at Comerica Park. The Guardians smashed the Pirates 6-1, the final score there in Cleveland at Progressive Field. It took 11 innings, but the Reds do hang on at home. The Reds beating the Brewers 4-3 in 11 innings. Games going on across major leagues right now certainly include the Cubs. They are currently on top of the Nationals 14-1. That game going to the bottom of the 9th inning in Washington. The Cardinals currently beating the Yankees 11-7. That's games in the top of the 7th inning in the Bronx in New York. The Padres and the Rays are tied at 3. That game's going to the top of the 7th inning at the Trop. The Royals currently being doubled up by the Astros in an AL Central matchup. This game is in the top of the 8th inning. Astros lead that game 4-2. Yordan Alvarez hitting not 1 but 2 home runs in that game. He's not 30 home runs on the season. The Mets currently blanking the White Sox, top of the 9th inning, 1-0 in Chicago. And the Rangers, that game going to the bottom of the 6th inning. Rangers currently lead the Athletics 2-1. Blue Jays baseball, as always, is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action with Ben and Chris. Tommy Nance on the mound for the Blue Jays.
Thank you, Joe. Nance is the 3rd Blue Jays reliever to pitch in this inning. Zach Pop walked the leadoff batter, came out. Brendan Little faced 4 batters, got 2 outs. Should have had 3 if not for an error. And now Tommy Nance trying to get the last out here of the bottom of the 7th. 1-1 game. The pitch to Jose Miranda. Fastball that breaks back over the plate arm side. Strike 1. Miranda 2 for 3 today, has brought his average back over 300. 3-0-2 is where it sits. 0-1. Over the top curveball, strike 2. Brooks Lee on second represents the go-ahead run. Willie Castro on first. Twins capitalized on the Blue Jays throwing error that came from third baseman Luis de los Santos and scored a run on an RBI groundout by Carlos Santana. Oh, 2. Misses inside with a breaking ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tommy Nance has made 10 appearances to a 3.65 ERA. Pitched a scoreless inning yesterday. 1-2. Check swing on a pitch down and in. Appeal down to first, and he did go around, says Will Little. That's a strikeout to end the inning. The Twins, though, score a run without a hit. A couple of walks and an error help Minnesota. They do leave 2 on, and it's a 1-1 game going to the 8th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
This is John Paul Morosi. Coming up on the next episode of the SiriusXM podcast, The Road to Cooperstown, I sit down with Hall of Famer Trevor Hoffman.
All I wanted was an opportunity. I understood that there are high picks and there might be a little more of an opportunity for them. I'm getting to put on a uniform, give it everything you got to make sure they never take it away.
The Road to Cooperstown airs Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern on MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM 89, and the all-new SiriusXM app. New episodes drop every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you regretting eating that gas station hot dog? Yeah, we know. We've been there too. This is a message for baseball fans like you. Did you know that you get a channel that's talking baseball 24/7 as part of your SiriusXM subscription?
What?
Our lineup includes shows hosted by former big leaguers and executives. Plus, you'll hear from 17 managers each week. MLB Network Radio is on SiriusXM Channel 89, or just search MLB Network Radio on the SXM app. SiriusXM Sports. We're more than just a game.
I'm John Paul Morosi, host of the SiriusXM original podcast, The Road to Cooperstown. Each week, I talk with the Baseball Hall of Famer about the challenges they overcame to become an all-time great.
It is a hard game, and mentally it's hard.
My legs started shaking.
They pretty much knew I was going to have lung surgery after the season. I wasn't for sure. Would I ever play baseball again?
The Road to Cooperstown is the official podcast of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Episodes are available now on the all-new SiriusXM app or wherever you get your podcasts.
In season or out of season, the #1 place for college sports is SiriusXM College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
Welcome to the Timbermark broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman. To my left is Chris LaRue. Blue Jays and Twins tied at 1 after 7 innings. It was 1-0 Blue Jays all the way from the first until the bottom of the 7th. But the Twins, with some walks, capitalizing on an error as well, drive in their first run. And now they'll go to the typical setup man, Griffin Jax, for the 8th. 62nd appearance for the righty, and his first pitch is a swing and a miss by Nathan Lucas, 0-1.
Yeah, Griffin Jax has been pretty much unhittable this season. He has a whip of .82.
Earned run average in the mid-ones, 0-1. High and outside, 1-1. Through a little bit of injury and a little bit of struggles from Yohan Duran, Jax has been the best Twins reliever. 1-1. Swing and a miss. Change up at 93, and it's 1-2. Jax possesses a high 90s fastball, but throws his changeup a fair bit and his sweeper a fair bit as well. 1-2. Elevates the fastball at 98, and it's hit back foul.
Nathan Lucas again doing a good job of just staying alive. It's such a good pitch, a four-seamer at the top of the strike zone at 98 miles an hour, almost unhittable.
On a day the Blue Jays only have 2 hits, he's done a nice job out of the leadoff spot. A pair of walks, 0 for 1 on the day. 1-2. Outside with the change, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jax working on 15 scoreless innings in a row. And the 2-2 pitch up top, ball 3. 15 scoreless appearances in a row over 14 1/3 innings. Righty facing the top of the Blue Jays order, Lucas Clement Horwitz. Payoff pitch. And Lucas spoils 97 at the top of the zone.
Yeah, a good job just staying alive. Nathan Lucas knew that he couldn't really do anything with that pitch and kind of just flicks the bat at it, fouls it off to the left side.
7 pitch at bat to start this 8th inning. Jax bends his knees, now looks ahead. Kick and pitch. Outside, ball 4. Borderline pitch at 98, and for Nathan Lucas, a 3rd walk of the game.
I think that ball might have clipped the strike zone. Nathan Lucas was probably unsure as he was flipping his bat and started taking his protection off, but sure enough, that was ball 4 for Nathan Lucas. Now you want to get to second base.
I wonder if they think about running Lucas, who has 4 stolen bases at Buffalo this year. First pitch to Ernie Clement, hit on the ground right side into right field, a base hit. Lucas around second, he'll have to stop there. Clement hit it really hard, but it's a single for Clement, his second hit of the day. He has 2 of Toronto's 3 hits in this game, and the Blue Jays have the go-ahead run in scoring position.
And again, Ernie Clement is just so good at finding the hole. Royce Lewis, the second baseman, was shaded towards second. Carlos Santana was holding on the runner, Nathan Lucas, at first base, so there was a huge hole on the right side of that infield, and Ernie Clement just shoots it the other way. I mean, he was trying to get a base hit through that hole. Such a smart hitter.
I will say, I think the Twins have committed the cardinal Ernie Clement sin twice today. Throwing him a first pitch fastball for a strike. He loves fastballs. He loves first pitches. He's very aggressive. If you give him a first pitch fastball for a strike, he's probably going to do something with it. That's why he's got 2 hits. First and second for the Blue Jays, Spencer Horwitz up. Nobody out, and the pitch. Low ball 1. Was interested to see if they'd think about sacrificing here in a 1-1 game, top of the 8th. Didn't look like it from Horwitz's first take. 1-0. Outside.
Well, I think the most important thing when you think about sacrificing or potentially sacrificing is who's at bat. Is it a guy that can handle the tough pitch? Is it a guy that can put the bat on the ball? And Spencer Horwitz is both of those things.
Swings and misses at 98. It's 2-1.
You don't want to, if a guy is up there that strikes out a lot, that's the guy that you want sacrificing, because that's probably worst case scenario, striking out in this situation.
Got a lot of speed on the base paths. First and second, no outs for the Blue Jays. 2-1. Outside ball 3. Blue Jays had this identical situation in the 6th. Lucas on second, Clement on first, no outs. And Bailey Ober went on to strike out Horwitz, Barger, and Jimenez 3 in a row. 3-1. Swing and a line drive, center field, backing up Castro. He makes the catch on the run near the track. Lucas will tag from second and Chuck for third, and the throw's cut off. So Horwitz in a way does the job, advancing the go-ahead run to third base with now only 1 out.
Yeah, that was a good job from Spencer Horwitz. Put the bat on the ball. Actually, he barreled that up pretty well, probably about 10 feet from that wall in center field. Willie Castro doing a good job tracking it down over the shoulder. And then Nathan Lucas gets to third base.
Clement's on first, Lucas on third, 1 out. Addison Barger about to come up, and before he does, Pete Mackey's going to go talk to Griffin Jacks.
And this is a big situation for Addison Barger, a guy that strikes out a lot. You have to put the bat on the ball in this situation. Obviously, you don't want to hit into a double play. That's definitely worst case scenario. But you have to put the bat on the ball. You have to try to lift something to the outfield. We know that he can do that. It's a big run standing on third base.
Barger is a guy that would be pretty tough to double up. He's pretty quick. Ernie Clement's very fast on first base. So like you said, you don't want to hit into a double play, but obviously hitting it on the ground is better than not hitting it at all. John Schneider, as they had that pitchers meeting on the mound with Pete Mackey, John Schneider got out of the Blue Jay dugout and whispered something to Blue Jays third base coach Carlos Fablis, who's whispering something to Nathan Lucas. We'll see if that develops into anything. First and third, 1 out, 1-1 game, top of the 8th. Jax's pitch to Barger. Low ball 1. And Jack's asking if it's low. It's been a tight zone here in this 8th.
Yeah, that was a strike. I mean, I tend to agree with that reaction there from Jax. That was a great pitch.
He might have been squeezed on the leadoff walk to Lucas, too. 1-0. High, ball 2. Clement takes off for second and gets there without a throw.
I wonder if that's what they were talking about with Carlos Fablis, third base coach, and John Schneider. If Ernie Clement gets a throw from Jeffers behind the plate, does he stop and then Nathan Lucas go home? I don't love that play, but that could have been what they were talking about.
Second and third, 1 out now, and the 2-0 pitch is outside ball 3. Infield is in for the Twins, so if you hit it on the ground, you can't hit it right at a guy, or Lucas can't go anywhere. But no worry of a double play anymore. 3-0. top of the zone, strike, 3-1.
Tell you what, that was a very hittable pitch. If Addison Barger had the green light, he could have done damage with that pitch.
Upper middle of the zone at 98. Clement on second, Lucas on third. 1 out, and the pitch to Barger. Swing and a miss. Changeup had him out in front, full count.
Now you have to put the bat on the ball. You got to shorten up. You have to shorten that swing and put the bat on the baseball.
Hits in 9 straight for Addison Barger, but he's 0 for 3 today. Left-handed hitter taps the plate twice, points the bat up toward the sky, looking out at the pitcher, Jax, and now wheels it around to his left shoulder. 3-2. Low ball 4. Barger will take a walk, and that loads the bases.
That was a great take from Addison Barger. A tough 3-2 changeup at 94 miles an hour with a lot of sinking action to it. I'm impressed by that at bat.
And he doesn't get over anxious. Could have been trying to be the hero, but instead takes the walk.
He used to, though.
Changed man. Here's Leo Jimenez. 1 out, bases loaded, 1-1 game in the 8th. And the first pitch hits him on the arm. 98 ran in and got him on the left tricep. Jimenez is in pain, but his bruise gives the Blue Jays a 2-1 lead.
And I don't know if it got him on that left protection, that elbow guard that he's wearing there, but it looks like he's in a little bit of pain, taking off the rest of his protection and running to first base. I mean, he's been beaten up today.
In what's been a really weird game, it feels like overall, an odd way for the Blue Jays to score in this inning. They have 1 hit in the frame, but Griffin Jax has walked 2 and now hit a batter, and it looked like that pitch actually went just above the elbow protection and hit Jimenez flush. Now Jax's first pitch to Joey Loperfido is high, 1-0. Blue Jays up 2-1, 1 out, bases loaded. Right on left, the 1-0 pitch. Hit back foul.
I would imagine that Leo's going to wake up tomorrow morning and his tricep is going to be in pain and his lower half is going to be in pain.
Yeah, if you weren't with us in the 4th, he slammed over the sidewall and flipped into the seats. Not super similar, but not totally unlike the Josh Donaldson play at Tropicana Field a couple years back. But Leo stayed in the game, and he's taking his bruises even after making that play. 1-1. Swing and a miss. Changeup gets a swing and a miss from Loperfido to make it 1-2.
Didn't Derek Jeter have a play like that?
I believe he did.
Yeah. He had blood on his forehead or something.
Yeah, and it's different now with the netting. Leo went into the netting rather than right onto fans. 1-2. Swing and a chopper over the mound, fielded up the middle by Brooks Lee, who throws to first for 1 out, but that's the only out that the Twins will get. Ernie Clement comes in to score. It's an RBI ground out for Loperfido, and because the Twins are playing in, they couldn't turn 2, and the Blue Jays score another run.
Yeah, and again, you put the bat on the baseball, good things happen. Joey Loperfido just sticks the bat out, hits a little bouncer up the middle, and Ernie Clement comes in to score the 3rd run of the ball game for the Toronto Blue Jays.
2 runs in this 8th inning on 1 hit after the Twins tied it up in the 7th with a run on no hits. Here's Will Wagner batting for a 2nd time. The pitch. Called strike, 0-1. 3-1 Blue Jays, 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs, top of the 8th. Jax's pitch. Swing and a hot shot grounder to second base. Backhanded by Lewis. Throws over to first to end the inning. The Blue Jays score a pair on 1 hit. No errors. 3 walks, or actually 2 walks and a hit batter in that inning. Toronto leaves a pair on, but leads 3-1, middle of the 8th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hey, Jays fans, ready to hit a home run with your next roofing project? Step up to the plate with GAF Timberline HDZ shingles, the official roofing shingle of the Toronto Blue Jays. Just like our Jays, GAF Timberline HDZ shingles deliver top performance with unmatched durability and protection. So, when it's time to cover your bases, choose the winning team. Visit your local Home Depot or shop online at homedepot.ca for all your roofing shingles and accessories. GAF. We protect what matters most.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
I am by your side. Got a heart so big, on this you can rely. No mountains too tall for the strong boots to climb. I am by your side.
That was Desjardins Insurance, playing insurance with a heart so big it shows. Tune in for your auto and home coverage at desjardins.com/heart.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Springer charges the ball to left field. It's in the seats, and the Blue Jays are on the board.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership or the Sportsnet Radio Network. Blue Jays 3, Twins 1. Bottom of the 8th, Chad Green is into the game for Toronto, and his first pitch runs inside to Matt Wallner, 1-0. Righty kicks and fires. Fastball popped up. And Wallner slams his bat down as De Los Santos at third shields his eyes from the sun, shuffles left and makes the catch. 1 out.
Oh boy, that was a tough one for De Los Santos. You could tell he's looking straight up at the sun. That shadow is right behind him. And again, those sunglasses are on his hat. I don't know what they're doing on his hat, but might want to put those on his nose.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. He had the sunglasses on earlier, but has taken them off now. Here's Ryan Jeffers, the catcher, with 1 out for Minnesota. Bottom of the 8th, 3-1 Blue Jays. First pitch fastball in there. 0-1. While you're wondering why the sunglasses are on the brim of the cap, some may be wondering why Chad Green is in the 8th inning rather than the 9th. But this is the middle of the Twins' order. Cleanup hitter Jeffers takes high, 1-1. And so the Blue Jays have called on Green to face the toughest batters in theory rather than pitch in the 9th. 1-1. Slider roped to left field, a line drive base hit. Fielded on a hop by Lucas. That limits Jeffers to a single, but it's a base runner for the Twins, and the tying run will come to the plate.
And that was just a hanging slider from Chad Green, a little spinner. It really didn't do much. Jeffers just drops the barrel and smashes a line drive into left field. Now the Twins are in business. Runner on first base and 1 out in this inning.
Austin Martin comes up for the Twins, 0 for 1, hit by pitch and a line out. The pitch. Swing and a hot shot through the hole right side on the ground, base hit into right field. Jeffers up to second. Martin stops at first. He's got his first hit against the Blue Jays of his career. And the Twins have the tying run on base, and now will bring the go-ahead run to the plate.
And pretty nice piece of hitting right there. A lot like Ernie Clement did in the previous inning. He just goes with it. Martin just lays that ball through the big hole on the right side of the infield. Not a bad pitch, 96 on the outside corner. But Martin with the good job right there.
Here's Royce Lewis, who has a flair for the dramatic. 0 for 2 today. The pitch. Down and away, ball 1. Lewis did walk to lead the 7th inning off and came around to score as the Twins' lone run in this game. That made it 1-1 at the time. Blue Jays just scored 2 off of tough righty Griffin Jacks. Chad Green looks at second, the 1-0. This is high and outside with the slider, 2-0, and he's been more erratic than we're used to through 8 pitches. Green's 2-0 to Lewis. Slider popped up, right side foul. Horwitz over near the first base dugout, leans over and watches it fall into the seats. 2-1.
That's a good pitch. I was hoping that he wouldn't throw a fastball in the heart of the plate, and he did. And he threw that slider on the outside part. Might have been a ball, might have been a strike, but it was a pretty good pitch down and away.
Lewis hits almost everything well, but he really loves fastballs, so you want to try and keep hittable fastballs away from him, although he has slumped a little bit recently, hitting .207 over 16 games coming into this one. Swings and misses at an elevated heater, 2-1, and now the count is 2-2.
And if you're going to throw a fastball, that's where you want to throw it, elevated up at the hands. Royce Lewis wants to get the arms extended, and he can't get the arms extended if that four-seam fastball is up near his hands.
Green's 2-2. High fastball again, and this one swatted foul to the right. Ryan Servant pointing his glove out to Green, liked the spot as they again went a couple baseballs above the zone. Jeffers on second, Martin on first, one out, two singles for the Twins back-to-back. 2-2 pitch again. Slider hit back foul. Bit of a spinner, but he got away with it as it stayed at the top of the zone, and all Lewis could do was roll it back into the netting. Green kicks and delivers. Another slider hit foul to the right, and Royce Lewis is putting up quite the fight here. He's fouled off 3 straight and 4 of the last 5.
And it's probably intimidating to think the go-ahead run is in the batter's box. I've thrown 3 straight sliders. I should come in with a fastball or come up with a fastball, but that's the best pitch.
Servant sets up high. 2-2 is a slider left over the plate and hammered to left. Lucas going back, leaps at the wall. It's gone. Go-ahead homer for Royce Lewis, and the Twins take a 4-3 lead.
And just like I said, when you throw 3 sliders in a row to a guy that's as good as Royce Lewis, you have to throw a fastball up or you have to throw a fastball in. You have to get him off that off-speed pitch. You have to get him off that location. And unfortunately, Chad Green just hung that slider right over the middle of the plate, and Royce Lewis hits a go-ahead home run here in the 8th.
Lewis snaps a career-worst 16-game homerless drought with a big homer against the Blue Jays. And the Twins' bats, which had been mostly silent through the first 7 innings, come up with 3 hits in a row, including a homer, to take their first lead of the day. Now 4-3, Minnesota.
Nathan Lucas almost got that over that wall in left field, reaching, jumping over the wall.
Umpires are conferencing right now, by the way. A fan did appear to reach over the wall a little bit, but I don't think anything that had a major impact. But I believe the crew chief has initiated a review at least just to see. And I don't see how that's anything but a home run.
Yeah, it looks like a home run to me. I don't think this will take very long.
After review, the call on the field is confirmed. It is a home run.
Quick review right there, and we continue on with the Twins leading for the first time, 4-3 Minnesota. Chad Green had been so dominant over his last 20 or so appearances. This is the first tough one in a while as he gives up the 3-run homer, and now we'll try to just keep it a 1-run game here. Max Kepler is up, 4-3 Twins, 1 out, bottom of the 8th. Green's pitch. Fastball, called strike, 0-1. Kepler 0 for 3. 0-1 pitch. Swing and a foul off 0-2. Just a moment ago, the Twins had both Ronnie Henriquez and Yohan Duran up in the pen. You would assume that Henriquez has sat down, as now it'll be a safe situation for Duran in the 9th. 0-2 pitch misses down and in 1-2, barring more runs from the Twins. One, 2. Slider hit foul off to the right.
I was Still trying to figure out what that crew chief review was for. It was very obviously a home run.
Yeah, not really sure. That one was clearly out. Fans didn't even reach for it until it was easily a homer. 1-2. High fastball, hit back foul.
That's the fastball that he should have thrown to Royce Lewis. That elevated fastball, get him off the slider. A little bit slider happy in this outing here for Chad Green. He still has the good fastball, 95, 96 miles an hour. Some life on it through the zone.
1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Gears back for 97 and gets Kepler for the second out.
Yeah, that's a good pitch. You could tell that Max Kepler was thinking slider there. He was way behind that fastball. Good fastball, elevated in the zone, 97 for out number 2.
Yeah, 2 hung sliders in this inning have really made the difference. One to Ryan Jeffers to get the first hit, and then after the Austin Martin single, another one to Lewis. Now, first pitch fastball to Brooks Lee, hit foul 0-1.
Which is interesting because his fastball today is as good as it'll get. 96, 97, a lot of life. Like you said, just those 2 hung sliders are gonna haunt him, at least for today.
Next pitch misses down low, 1-1. If you go back to an appearance just before the All-Star break, so last 18, Green had an 0.95 ERA, only 2 earned runs allowed as he skips one to the backstop to make it 2-1. Only 2 earned runs allowed in 19 innings. Everyone's going to give up runs at some point. We saw it with Griffin Jackson the top of the 8th, but unfortunately it was a decisive number, at least for now, as the Twins' 3-run homer has made it 4-3 Minnesota. 2-1 pitch, hit foul, 2-2.
And Vlad is actually sitting in the Blue Jays dugout with a bat in his hand. I don't know what that means, but could mean that he's going to be coming in as a pinch hitter in the top of the 9th inning.
If you want options, you got options. If you're John Schneider, Springer, Guerrero, Varsho, and Kirk all on the bench still. 2-2. Slider down and in, ball 3. .25 pitches in the frame for Chad Green. His 3-2. Fastball hit in the air. Shallow left center. Lucas fighting the sun. Loperfido finds it, and the center fielder makes the catch to end the inning. Twins take the lead, though. 3 runs on 3 hits. Royce Lewis's 3-run homer makes it 4-3 Minnesota. And the theme music of closer Yohan Duran playing now at Target Field. Blue Jays need 1 to tie, 2 to take the lead in a 4-3 ball game when we come back for the 9th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Everything a football fan needs is on the SiriusXM app. The biggest college football games.
Holy smokes, what a play!
Every NFL game with your hometown announcers.
It's a miracle in Las Vegas!
Winning fantasy football advice from the experts on Fantasy Sports Radio.
I'm just not overpaying for quarterbacks in a Superflex league.
And passionate personalities on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
I don't want to hear it. You're not winning a championship. Can we mellow out? Let's move on, please.
No matter how you follow football, it's all on the SiriusXM app.
I am all in, baby.
Every night after the final out, the Round Trip Roundup brings you the scores, highlights, and analysis from every game across Major League Baseball, all in less than 30 minutes.
Swung on and missed strike 3 and a no-hitter.
It's the perfect way to get caught up on all the night's biggest home runs and best performances.
And a high drive, deep right center.
It's the Round Trip Roundup on MLB Network Radio every night on SiriusXM Channel 89 and every morning on the SiriusXM app.
The 2024 season is approaching.
Focus on the football, fellas. Focus, focus.
And SiriusXM NFL Radio brings you down to the field for an all-access pass to your favorite team.
You do your best to put yourself in position to get the result you want.
From the regular season through Super Bowl 59, hear every NFL game all season long on SiriusXM.
Touchdown!
And if you missed any of NFL Radio's training camp tour, you can get it right now on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Fantasy football players, learn winning strategies right now on Fantasy Sports Radio to help you draft a winning team on Channel 87 and on the SiriusXM app.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Ninth inning at Target Field, and after a heartbreaking 3-run homer by Royce Lewis from a Blue Jays perspective, the Twins are up 4-3. They call on their closer, the hard-throwing right-hander, Yohan Duran, who's converted 19 of 21 saves this year, trying to get save number 20, holding a 1-run lead.
Yeah, Duran has a little bit of an elevated ERA over his last 15 games, 5.40, 18 hits allowed in 13 and a third innings, but a pretty low walk rate, just 3 walks in those 13 and a third.
And he's been a very different guy this year in save situations and non-save situations. ERA over 5 in non-save situations, almost at 1 when he's looking for saves. He'll face 8-9-1 in the Blue Jay order, starting with Luis De Los Santos, and the first pitch is a breaking ball for strike 1. Closer averages 100 on his four-seam fastball and high 90s on his splitter. 0-1. Another breaking ball, swing and a miss from De Los Santos, 0-2. Blue Jays do have Guerrero, Springer, Kirk, and Varsho on the bench, but it might be a full day off for some of those more experienced Blue Jays players. Oh-2. Curveball called strike 3. Paints it on the inside corner, and De Los Santos set down in 3 pitches.
I think you're right about those guys getting a full day off. George Springer, Alejandro Kirk, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. are all 3 of them just sitting in the dugout without a helmet on, without a bat in their hands. That tells me that they are not coming into this ballgame.
Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. He's Chris LaRue. I'm Ben Schulman. Pitch now to Brian Servant. Swing and a foul off. Hits 101 into the seats to the right. 0-1. Blue Jays led 1-0 from the first to the 7th. And then after the Twins tied at 1-1, Toronto scored 2 in the 8th to take a 3-1 lead. Duran's 0-1 pitch, top of the zone. No, it's called a ball. And now check swing, appeal down to first, no swing. So a break there for Servant. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
That last fastball was 102.1 miles an hour.
1-1. Swing and 102 hit foul to the right. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And I don't mean to not celebrate that kind of velocity. That was the average for him last year. His velocity's actually a bit down. He was throwing 104s routinely last year. It's been more 99 to 102 this year. 1-2 pitch. Inside, and there was 2 sounds there. I think that hit Servant. Servant is indicating that it did. And he'll head down to first. I'm sure Rocco Baldelli is going to take a look, but you could hear it skim something on the way by Servant.
Well, not only that, Ryan Jeffers dropped the baseball, so that tells you, and that did in fact hit him in the forearm, that right forearm. When the catcher drops the ball and doesn't catch it cleanly, that tells you that something happened, and he was clearly hitting the right forearm.
So the Blue Jays put the tying run on base with 1 out. Here's Nathan Lucas at the top of the order. From the stretch, Duran's pitch to Nathan Lucas. Fastball chopped slowly to the left side of the mound, picked up by the closer. Step and throw over to first, just in time. And I think the Blue Jays will take a peek at that one at least. That was bang bang at first, but it looks like Duran got Lucas.
Yeah, that was a little bit casual from Duran after picking up that baseball. And the Blue Jays will in fact take a look at this.
You don't want your pitchers to rush, but that's, like you said, really relaxed.
Yeah, no sense of urgency. I think he's out at
Toronto
first base.
Is challenging you out, call it first base.
Maybe not.
So hard to tell. I mean, the call in the field is out, which is hugely important. And for this one to be overturned, you need definitive evidence, 100%, that Nathan Lucas is safe. It's hard for me to just really make a big declaration either way. I lean that this call stands. What do you think?
I think it's just a tie almost at first base. And like you said, the call on the field is already out. So they'll probably stick with that call.
And while there is the convention often said around minor baseball, the tie goes to the runner, in the world of video reviews, there are no ties. If they can't tell, someone wins. And so if they can't tell, they're going to stick with the call on the field.
But we've seen a couple of angles. We've seen 3 or 4 angles, and it's just a relative tie, which isn't good for the Blue Jays.
Lance Barksdale still listening in right now.
After review, the call on the field stands. The runner is out. Toronto will lose their challenge.
So Nathan Lucas is retired. The Blue Jays did push the tying run into scoring position at least, but now down to their final chance. It'll be Ernie Clement, who's been their best hitter today with a home run and a single. He's scored twice in this game. Twins 4, Blue Jays 3. Serving on second, 2 outs, top of the 9th. Fans on their feet, Blue Jays fans and Twins fans alike at Target Field. The set from Duran and the flamethrower looking at second. His pitch home. Curveball high, 1-0. And he followed the rule of not throwing Ernie Clement a first pitch fastball for a strike, unlike some of the other Twins. Righty set, glove above his belt. He kicks and delivers. Fastball in there at 101. That'll even up the count at 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs in the top of the 9th. One. Swing and a pop-up, back foul into the seats. 102 ran up and in on Clement, and now the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Blue Jays only have 1 strike left to play with. Blue Jays fans have been louder for much of this series, but the Twins fans getting loud right now. Late comeback by Minnesota. They're trying to finish it off. 1-2. In the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tough take for Clement, laying off the curve after seeing 102 on the fastball. Ernie takes a step out of the box and steps back in. Duran's asking for time now. He'd like a new baseball. Reliever gets one and steps back on. Servin's the tying run on second with 2 outs. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a fly ball right field. Backing up Kepler into a jog onto the track, makes the catch just in front of the track. And that's the ball game. The Blue Jays lead most of the way, but Royce Lewis with a heroic home run against Toronto again. His 3-run shot in the 8th sinks the Blue Jays as the Twins take it 4-3.
Yeah, that was obviously the turning point of this ball game. I talked about it during the broadcast, but it seemed like Chad Green was very slider happy in this outing, and the slider really wasn't great either. It was just kind of a spinning slider today. Didn't really have a ton of movement on it. And when you get a guy looking out over the plate, that's when you bust him in with the fastball. That's why I said an elevated fastball would have worked, an inside fastball, but Chad Green decided to throw another spinning slider, and Royce Lewis didn't miss it.
Twins win the game and the series 4-3, the final score today. We're going to take a step aside, come back, wrap it up, and get you over to Blue Jays Talk with Show Ali and Nick Ashbourne. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The Blue Jays are inviting you to work from Dome. Put it in your calendar. 307 weekday starts this season. You can work from Dome with friends or coworkers at Rogers Center. It's a game changer. Make the ballpark your office for the afternoon. Work from Dome, 307 weekday starts. Let's touch base. Check out ticket options on BlueJays.com/workfromdome.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca. This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
The 0-2 pitch. Fastball, strike 3 looking.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Blue Jays fall 4-3 to the Minnesota Twins. Thanks for sticking around. Blue Jays talk coming up in just a sec on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Interesting ball game today, Chris, on both sides for the Blue Jays. Let's start on the pitching side. Yariel Rodriguez gets the start. He's lifted, though, after only 3 innings and 57 pitches. Ryan Yarbrough piggybacks with him. They combined for 5 1/3 scoreless.
Yeah, I mean, Yariel, obviously, we talked about this earlier, but he was really erratic in that first inning through 32 pitches. Really, none of his pitches were working. And then all of a sudden in that second inning and that third inning, he started throwing the split finger. And I think that really helped keep the Twins off of whatever else he was throwing. And on top of that, the split finger was pretty good. Ryan Yarbrough came in after him and just did what Ryan Yarbrough does. Didn't strike anybody out, but threw 2 1/3 clean innings.
Yarbrough only allowed 1 base runner. The first guy he faced, he hit with a pitch. After that, he was all good. On the other side, the Blue Jays led most of the day, but it didn't really feel like it. They had a first-inning homer from Ernie Clement and added on 2 runs in the 8th inning after the Twins tied it up on only 1 hit. But it actually wasn't a big offensive day at all. Toronto only ends up with 3 hits in the game.
Yeah, Bailey Ober was really good today. You could tell early on that the fastball, like I said, the fastball is very average. It's 90 to 92 miles an hour, but it's the changeup. It's the way he mixes up his pitches that makes him elite. That changeup today was like a split finger. It looked like a fastball out of the hands and then kind of just drops off the table. He was great today, only giving up 1 hit in 6 innings.
The Blue Jays went to Chad Green in the 8th inning after reestablishing their lead up 3-1. And for the first time in a while, Green just did not have it today. He gave up 3 hits, including the decisive 3-run homer to Royce Lewis. And the Blue Jays lose the game and the series. If you do count the first game on Monday, Toronto ends up with a 500 road trip against Boston and Minnesota, which isn't too shabby, but just barely lose out or miss out on winning a series today. Blue Jays scored 3 runs on 3 hits, 1 error, 8 left, 0 for 7 runners in scoring position. Twins, 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, 7 left. Win goes to Griffin Jacks, despite giving up the 2 runs in the 8th inning. He goes to 4-4. Lost to Chad Green, also 4-4. And Johan Duran with his 20th save of the season. This one took 2 hours and 43 minutes in front of almost 33,000 on a beautiful day, 20 degrees and sunny at Target Field. Appreciate you tuning in today. From our technical director, Tom Young, our producer, Nick Blackmore, our host, Joe Ali, and my partner, Chris LaRue. I'm Ben Schulman. Day off tomorrow, and then the Blue Jays are back in action against the Philadelphia Phillies for 2 coming up at Rogers Center. That should be a really fun series. Hope you can join us on Tuesday when the Blue Jays and Phillies face off. We are going to take a quick step aside and come right back from the break with Blue Jays talk, so stick around. Twins beat the Blue Jays 4-3. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
Well, Nick, always a tough one when you lose a series, no doubt about it. Kind of a bizarre situation where the most runs in this game were given up by both Griffin Jacks and Chad Green, both guys who are usually, for their respective teams, pretty terrific in most appearances, but they both get knocked around a bit, and this game in the 8th inning goes from 3-1 Blue Jays to 4-3 Twins, and that unfortunately is how the series ends in Minnesota. The Blue Jays open September with a loss, and they are now 67-72 as we begin September.
Yeah, Chad Green in particular had been fantastic basically all season long, right? Like he brought a 161 ERA into this game. That's up to 217 now just from that little bit of action there. He'd given up less than 10 earned runs all year before this one. So it's not 100% clear. Maybe we'll hear from John Schneider whether the plan was to have him pitch 2 innings there or they thought they wanted him to pitch the most dangerous hitters the Twins had and then remove him later. Again, maybe we'll hear a little bit on that. I think either plan is justifiable heading into the off day. And that's something that Green has done throughout his career too. Like he has a little bit more length than a traditional closer, but the velocity was there for him. You could say the stuff was there in a sense, but he hung up 2 really sliders right in the middle of the plate. And one of them was to Jeffers, and that was a single. He didn't get burned that badly. And then one of them was on the home run ball. Like that was a pitch that was it was a breaking ball, center cut. Like it's about as good a pitch to hit home run off of as you can possibly imagine. And these things happen even to guys who are as good as Green is.
Yeah, he hung that 87-mile-an-hour slider to, of all people, Royce Lewis. He doesn't miss many of those, but most major leaguers, I think, would punish pitches like that. And Lewis, who has a lot of power, certainly did. And Lewis, I would say, quickly climbing the ranks of Blue Jays killers in a very short period of time. Not perhaps in the rarefied air that Ryan Mountcastle seems to certainly occupy. But even so, tough outing for Green, who had been so good for most of the season. And like you said, he's given up home runs here and there. Like, I think the only other big spot I can think of is Chad Green giving up the home run for the walk-off by J.J. Bleday when the Blue Jays were in Oakland. That was the game where Chris Bassett threw all 8 innings, and then the first pitch of the 9th inning went to Bleday, who jacks it for a home run. So it's a tough situation for Green, certainly, but I'm not really sure that should change anyone's. I mean, it happens, right? But I'm not sure it should change necessarily anyone's opinion of Chad Green, even if I'm not sure he is a bona fide closer necessarily, if only because I think, there are probably only a handful of those kinds of guys in Major League Baseball, period. And like even Joan Duran runs into trouble sometimes, but he's one of those guys. Emmanuel Clase is one of those guys. Even if Chad Green's like one notch below, I'm not sure it should really change your overall opinion of him.
He's a credible high leverage arm in this league, right? Like even in his best seasons with New York, it was more about putting him into situations where he was facing often the best hitters the other team had to offer, or when there are guys on base. Like he was that fireman, right? Like before this year, he had never had more than 6 saves in a season. Yeah. And I'm not going to be that person who says, oh, this guy cannot be a closer because he hasn't been a closer in the past. I think sometimes we can get wrapped up in exactly having that role. Sometimes it's better to be a little bit more flexible. I think of Jimmy Garcia with the Blue Jays earlier this year, right? Like he was clearly the best reliever on the team, or the guy pitching the best. And they didn't always use him as a closer because sometimes it's better to be more flexible. Green has been that sort of guy. But going into next year, I do believe if the Blue Jays think that he's the best reliever on the team, that's not an ideal situation to be in, because I'm not sure he's quite the guy that he was when he was at the Yankees, and he's older now. He's into his 30s. He's suffered some injuries as well. Like, it's reasonable that as he approaches his mid-30s, he might not be the guy he was when he was 27, 28 or something like that. I still don't think anyone should lose hope that he's someone they can't trust. He's a trustworthy veteran. But at the same time, they will definitely give some thought to the back end of the bullpen heading into 2025.
That is Nick Ashbourne, and I'm Shoad Lee. You're listening to Jays Talk, of course, live on the Sportsnet Radio Network. We're also streaming on sportsnet.ca and on the Sportsnet app. You can give us a call, 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. You can text us as well, 590-590, name and location. The People's Text line, always open. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. You know what? Let's talk a little bit about Yariel Rodriguez to start before we go to the phones. 3 innings from Rodriguez, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He threw 57 pitches in 3 innings of work. 33 of them were strikes. So we'll wait to hear from John Schneider, certainly, Nick, because I am curious, because, of course, the team doesn't have anyone speak on Sundays, right? So there was no discussion to the media prior to the game that said, hey, this is what's going to happen with Yariel Rodriguez. Like, this is the plan, the game plan today, which is something we sometimes hear when we're talking about the pregame and so on that the Blue Jays give in the beginning of the games. But probably a number of reasons he was taken out, I suppose. Like John Schneider has spoken about his workload the last couple of starts, post-game, how they're really trying to thread the needle between not overworking him, but also keeping him on turn. There are a few off days coming up this month that will allow the team to rework their starting rotation plans, like to a certain extent at the very least. He's a guy who has never pitched this much in a season before, obviously much less in Major League Baseball, because technically he's a rookie, having never pitched in the majors before. And yeah, he does his stuff just also didn't look great today. I think that's obviously a factor in any game. But I am curious, just if you're looking at a pie chart, how much of it was pre-planned and how much of it was, okay, we got to cut this outing short. We got to pull the trigger and get him out of this ball game, because it does kind of feel like he was somewhat fortunate to exit this game without giving up a run, especially after loading the bases in the first inning. And again, when you're talking about that pie chart, for reasons taking Yariel Rodriguez out, you saw a couple guys warm right away. Both Pop and Yarbrough warmed prior to Y-Rod getting taken out of this game. But I also wonder how much of the equation is simply Ryan Yarbrough had not pitched since Monday, since the doubleheader against the Boston Red Sox, and he has been someone who's been pretty effective this season. So I kind of wonder, when you're looking at all of those reasons for why Yariel Rodriguez did not go deep into this game, I wonder how much of it is in each of those little boxes there.
There's a number of factors that go into it. As you mentioned, there's a workload, so they are managing him. They are not treating him like he is, Jose Barrios or Chris Bassett or a veteran pitcher that you kind of run out there and you let the performance dictate. He's someone they're being very careful with. At the same time, I doubt they went into this game and said, you know what, 57, 60 pitches is a limit. Normally they push him further than that. It's been in the 70s or in the 80s a lot of the time. Some of this is performance-based. It's weird for me to say that because he didn't give up any runs in this game, but he really labored. And he had some luck too. In that first inning that you referenced, by my count, there were two separate occasions where if it weren't for a very generous call from the ump, he would have walked a guy. And he got outs in both of those, actually the first two outs that he got. So there's a version of this start where things go absolutely sideways from the beginning. My thought is the Blue Jays saw that this outing was it was difficult. His stuff was not sharp. His velocity wasn't as bad as it's been in some of his recent outings, but it still wasn't as good as it's been when he's been at his best either. So I think they probably suspected if we lift him now, it's something that you can take as somewhat of a positive. We got some scoreless innings there. He did his turn, as you mentioned. He kept building up his workload, but he didn't push anything, and he didn't have any negatives because I'm sure confidence is a factor right now. He has really scuffled badly in his last three starts or so. So I imagine they think, okay, we'll take him out early because we see the train is a little bit off the tracks here, even if he's been able to keep runs off the board to this point. Let's just bring Yarbrough in. He's rested. You've got the off day coming too. That's a factor as well because you knew that you could use a lot of the bullpen and they'd be relatively fresh. And then there's another off day coming down the pike as well. So they knew that they could really lean on the bullpen here, and it probably seemed like a good idea to get him out early before things went wrong.
416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell, 590-590, name and location. Those are the numbers for you to call. That is the text line as well, the People's text line, which of course is always open. You can certainly reach us in either of those ways. If you do reach us on the text line, don't forget standard messaging and data rates may apply. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's start with Byron from right here in Toronto. Byron, welcome to Jays Talk. What's on your mind today?
Well, gentlemen, I'm very happy to be on Jays Talk, but I have a different theory. Not only should they have gone to try to win this game, they should be trying to go for the wild card. I mean, let's face it, they're only 8 games out of making the wild card. In 2015, we went on that streak after all the different trades were made, and now all of a sudden we've got a really hot lineup. We've got a guy who pitched probably one of the most exciting games of the season in Bowden Francis, who came this close to a no-hitter. And we've got Vladdy and Springer sitting on the bench today, which, you try and tell Cal Ripken or Lou Gehrig that they should have sat on the bench. And Vladdy, I don't understand it. Well, they're resting them. Rest has got them in trouble, when they took out Barrios early. Come on, guys, go for the wild card. Ross Atkins, the job you want to save. It'll make you look good. You're starting to look good, Ross. So, but let's get these guys to go for it all the way.
Hey, yeah, Byron, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. What do we think? Here's the thing. I don't want to poo-poo the idea of getting to the wild card, but here are some of the numbers that the Blue Jays did in the month of August, just from a win perspective. So I think we can all agree the Blue Jays in the month of August were great. I think for by and large, they were one of the better teams in Major League Baseball in terms of win pace in the month of August, which of course wrapped up yesterday with a gigantic win. So if you count the suspended game, I think for these purposes we should, just because they played that game. In August. Yeah. They physically played that game this month and they won it. I know it counts towards a series win from June, but whatever. We'll count it for this month. They went 17-12. That is a win pace, you told me, Nick, of near 95 wins. If you kept up that pace all season, obviously they did not do that. But we're talking about the month of August. That's a phenomenal win pace. The Blue Jays right now, after today's loss, are 67-72. So there are 23 games left in the regular season. You got to think, if you look at the wild card race right now, let me just pull up the standings. So you got the Yankees, Guardians, and Astros leading their division. You got the Orioles, Twins, and Royals in the wild card spots 1, 2, and 3. The Orioles have 78 wins. The Twins have now 74 wins. And the Royals, I think they lost earlier today. I believe they lost earlier today. They have 75 wins. So you got to think that between now and the end of the regular season, even if the Royals, for example, in wild card 3 have a poor rest of the season. Let's say they only win 10 more games for the rest of the year. I don't know. I think that's pretty unlikely given how the Royals have played. Let's say they only, quote unquote, win 10 more games. They'll end at 85 wins. So that means in theory, the Blue Jays need to get to more than 85 wins. You get to like 85 or 86 wins. I think generously would get you into the playoffs. And that's like not accounting for other teams. You could probably make the argument that it would be 89 or 90 wins, which is where we were kind of at preseason anyways in the spring. But let's just say, for the sake of this argument, it's a generous 85 wins would get you into wildcard 3. To get to 500, the Blue Jays have to go 14-9 for the rest of the season. Like that's against teams like the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves, the Red Sox again, the Rays again, the Cardinals, who have been playing. I mean, the Cardinals just waxed the Yankees earlier this afternoon. And I mean, the Cardinals, I don't know, they're kind of neither here nor there when it comes to skill overall in the NL playoff picture. But my point is, I'm not sure it's very doable unless they go on a historic win chase here. I think it's doable to get back to 500. I really do. They'd have to go 14-9 to get back to 500. I think that's possible. It's a difficult proposition, but they need to win. Like they'd have to go 18-5 if the math is correct, I think, to get to 85 wins. And I mean, that's like a historic win pace.
Yeah, they're not going to get to 18-5. Realistically, even 500, you're talking about kind of a 98-99 win pace from here on out, which again is conceivable, but that is really difficult for even an accomplished veteran team to do. This is a bunch of young guys trying to prove themselves at this level. What I understand kind of at the baseline of this call is that it is frustrating for fans to watch the Blue Jays not do the most they can to try and win an individual ball game. And this is clear that in the ninth inning of that game, they ran out hitters who were inferior to the guys who were sitting on the bench. And it was a one-run ball game. So I get it when you're sitting at home and you're watching a team that you support not do everything in their power to try and win a game. That is frustrating. And I don't believe that's something the Blue Jays have started doing until it became clear that they were sort of out of the playoff hunt. And that's where they sit right now. If you look at playoff odds, you're talking about, a 0.1%. 8.5 games back is a lot of games at this point of the season, and there are teams in front of them as well. There's just isn't an avenue for that. Now, if you want to make the argument that even if you're out of the race, you should always be trying to win no matter what, you should put your foot on the gas because that's a culture thing. I get that. It's impossible to quantify. I don't know. What is the value of a win that doesn't help you make the playoffs versus the value of saying to your veterans, listen, this is your day off. We want to give you rest during this time where we have some off days so that you can really, recover a little bit. Dalton Varsho, for instance, we know he's dealing with a bit of a shoulder thing.
Sure.
George Springer is relatively old at this point. Alejandro Kirk has had a pretty big workload since Danny Jansen left town. There are reasons why resting these guys could be valuable. It's one of those things that's just impossible to know. We don't know. You'll never be able to put a number on the value of that rest, and you'll never be able to put a number on what is that culture worth. And so at the end of the day, they have chosen one over the other. I understand people being upset that they've chosen to go with resting the players, but there is rationale behind that in terms of trying to keep these guys healthy. These guys are important to the franchise. And today's win, as much as it sucks if you're spending 2.5, 3 hours watching a baseball game and the team you're watching doesn't care about winning. But we knew they didn't care about winning when they wrote that lineup out. Like we talked about in the pregame show, look at who's in this lineup. You're talking about Luis De Los Santos. You're talking about Brian Serven. Like they, at the beginning of the game, had a statement of intent that said, this is a game we do not care very much about winning. So it shouldn't really surprise us that in the 9th inning of the game, they doubled down on that philosophy.
416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Let's go back to the phones. Kind of along these same lines, actually, that you're discussing, Nick. Mark in Virginia also wanted to talk about the idea of the best players being on the bench in that 9th inning. Mark, what's up?
Yeah, I agree. You got to win every game. They got a day off tomorrow, guys. Are you trying to tell me that Vladdy did the whole game? So did Springer. You got all these fans from all over Western Canada looking to see a win. He won 15-0 last night. If you don't want to win, John, then let's find a new manager for next year. I'm not here to watch spring training today. They would have been 6.5 behind if they won. 6.5 behind Minnesota. And if you've been along around baseball as long as I have, 6.5 is not a lot to make up in September. I'm really mad. I've been a season ticket holder since 1977, and I'm really mad. Can you keep me on the line because I want to hear the answer? If you hang me up, I can't hear because I'm on the phone.
Hey, Mark. Well, we do appreciate you joining us here. I still maintain 6.5 games. If there were 6.5 games back with no one between them and the third wild card spot because everyone else was playing poorly, I'd kind of say, look, it's possible. But there are how many games are between the Blue Jays and the third wild card? Like between the Blue Jays and Royals. Let's see, the Red Sox, Mariners, Tigers, and Rays are all between them and the Royals. I think that's why I find it so difficult to look at because it's it's not just about controlling your own destiny. Like you kind of need all of those other teams to also have bad outings, right? Like you could in theory go 18-5 and win your way to 85 wins. Like you could in theory do that and still have all those other teams also go 18-5 or 17 and whatever, and then it wouldn't make a difference because everyone's at 85 wins, right? I think that's the only reason why.
Or one of the teams, right?
Or just one, yes.
When you have that many teams in front of you, it's not a matter of, we have to make up so many games. It's if even one of those teams gets hot, then it just nullifies what you've done. And those teams in front are, 2, 3, potentially 4 games ahead of the Blue Jays. So they'd have to, even if they get hot in a way that is still 3 games worse than the Blue Jays, they still get in. It is such a difficult road. And again, I want to reiterate, I get it from a philosophical standpoint. You do not want to watch, as you said, a spring training baseball game. Yeah. But that's kind of what we signed up for here. That is what watching these young guys play is. And there's a component of that is really cool. It's let's see what we have. There's a novelty of it. There's so much uncertainty around these guys. Some of them could defy expectations and become stars, become staples for the Blue Jays for years to come. That's why I think some people have actually come back and started watching the Blue Jays more since the trade deadline because now there's something interesting to see. But the flip side of that equation is, when you're watching Justin Turner and Kevin Kiermaier and stuff, that was a bad form of the Blue Jays to watch, the early 2024 Blue Jays. Yeah. But on the flip side, they were very much trying to win every single game no matter what. That is what they were playing for. So they're just two different things. One of them was they're trying to win, but they suck and it's a bunch of old guys. And this version is they're not necessarily as focused on winning. It's about development. But the good news is you have these young guys to watch. It's
funny because to Mark's point and to Byron's point, the first caller, I do think, and I was sitting here with you at Baseball Control, and the bottom of the 9th or the top of the 9th inning is coming up for the Blue Jays, and I said to you, Al, I'm like, boy, pinch hit everyone. I don't care. I don't care about the positional matchups or who fits in where. If Luis De Los Santos and Brian Serven are hitting for the Blue Jays, I mean, you could first of all, you could actually make the positional switches work if the game went to extras. You could pinch hit Vladdy for Luis De Los Santos. You could pinch hit Kirk for Brian Serven, and you could find a way to make it work. That's the point. You can make it work if you really had to. I think that why I understand everyone's frustration with why don't you have those guys work is certainly because in Springer's case, maybe I could kind of understand it. Bit of an older guy, has not had the greatest season. He's still toiling away at getting back to being a league average bat essentially. So I kind of understand it, but it's harder to stomach when it's Vladdy and Kirk, two guys who are pretty young in the prime of their careers. There's an off day tomorrow. I do understand it. If it was a blowout, let's say, if they had been getting absolutely annihilated, or on the flip side, it was like last night where they were running away with it and it was a gigantic laugher. I can kind of understand it. Like, who really cares, right? Like, does it really mean anything for Vladdy and Kirk to get important ABs in, like, at the end of the game? Probably not, right? We already kind of know what they are. But in a one-run game, even if I do agree with some of the textures, there's a text here from, where is it? Rob in Woodstock. He says, I disagree with one of the last callers about why not use Vlad or one of the veterans on the bench late in the game. The win means nothing in the standings. We'll never know what the young players are capable of if they're never allowed to be in those situations where the pressure is on. Let the vets rest, let the kids play, and we can see what they're made of. Like, I really do see that side of the argument as well. But at the same time, I just think, like, optically, it is a bad look to, like, you're watching on TV and you're seeing Luis De Los Santos get blown away by a Duran, like, 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and, like, cuts to Vladdy sitting on the bench with his sunglasses on. You're kind of like, sorry, not the best luck, honestly.
Yeah, and to give some credit to the other side here, the guys who are coming up were not necessarily those young guys that you think you might be building around a little bit in the future, right? Like, you are talking about Luis De Los Santos, who is more of a minor league veteran type. I think Brian Servant, although we've seen a lot of him, is probably more of a third catcher minor league veteran type as well. You know, Nathan Lucas, we talked before, he's 30 years old at this point. He might have a future as an extra outfielder for the Blue Jays or somewhere else in the majors, but it would be easier to defend this if the guys coming up were, say, 4 through 6. If it was Horwitz, Barger, Jimenez, guys who you feel more confident might be part of the team going forward, then you'd say, okay, let's see what these young guys can do. In this case, it does seem like it really was they wanted to rest those guys. And I get that. People say, well, there's a rest day tomorrow, but that's part of it, right? Like, over the course of a baseball season, it's actually very difficult to get your guys a couple days of rest in a row. And again, I am not an exercise science person. I cannot tell you what is the value of 1 day of rest over 2 days of rest, but I believe that that is part of the decision, that they believe that giving them a couple days of rest in a row is meaningfully different than having just a single off day. And, you're right. How strenuous is swinging a bat? You don't know. But then maybe a guy ends up hitting one in the gap and then suddenly they're running. I understand it. But as you said, the optics of it are not especially good. And I do think this would be easier for them to defend if the guys coming to the plate were the young guys they cared about more. Like, the Loper Fitos, the Jimenezes, the Bargers, the Horwitz, even Wagner, guys like that who they do believe will be a part of the team in the future.
We were talking a little bit about Yariel Rodriguez and whether or not there was some discussion about his workload and if there was pre-planned. John Schneider, of course, was asked about this, and let's hear what he had to say. Here's the skipper talking postgame.
I think going forward, we're trying to monitor his, innings workload a little bit. I think you can kind of, we'll see how his outings go, but we want to try to just really, keep him on a routine, but I think be aware of how many innings he's throwing. So that was kind of the plan today, and a little bit of, erratic command. It's not set in stone. It's going to be 3. It could be 5. It could be 6. It kind of depends on his pitch count and how he's throwing it each and every outing. But I think the most important thing is to keep him on turn, and we've communicated that with him. He kind of knows where he's at down the stretch.
All right, so I think that actually answers the question for me, because midway through that answer from Schneider, I kind of was like, all right, is he like, do I have to read between the lines here a little bit? But then he actually said it, like, it could be 3 innings, could be 5 innings. It really depends. And and Schneider himself pointed out the fact that his command was pretty erratic today. Those are the exact words he used. So, I mean, clearly there was a bit of a give, I suppose, and when he could have come out of that game. But I mean, in the 3rd inning, he gets the double play and you'd already had a reliever warming. That's probably it, right? Like, you're probably just, hey, why play with fire when you already know the pitch count is not going to be super elevated? And then on top of that, he didn't have great stuff. Like you said, the velo was all right, but generally speaking, everything from velo to command just wasn't exactly didn't look quite as crisp, let's put it that way, based on where we've seen Yariel Rodriguez sit. So I do get it, but that does offer some clarity on why they went to Ryan Yarbrough, who we can talk about certainly, but I mean, I certainly felt a little more comfortable personally once Yarbrough came in the game, and he did the thing he has done pretty much his entire Blue Jays career, however short it may be.
Yarbrough definitely looked steadier than Yariel Rodriguez in this game. And as you say, it seems like there wasn't a specific plan for Rodriguez, as it has to be exactly this many innings, or even it has to be exactly this many pitches. It seems like they're working within the parameters of a relatively short outing and a relatively low pitch count. And I think performance is going to dictate. Like, there'll be games, I'm sure, where maybe, he looks a little bit better and maybe he rests up a little bit and he's able to throw, 4 or 5 innings or, maybe get into 6 innings. Some of the longer starts that Yariel Rodriguez has had, his pitch counts weren't actually very high. Like he'd have a 6-inning outing, but his pitch count would be in the 80s. So he's able to push not because they've changed their mind about what they want to do with his workload or how they want to handle him, but just because his pitch efficiency dictated that he could go further into the game. And this was a little bit the opposite of that. Like it was 3 innings, but it was an inefficient 3 innings. And with the same number of pitches, you could normally get 4 innings or maybe even get into the 5th with, close to 60 pitches there. Yarbrough, he's just doing Yarbrough things. Like there will come a time where he'll have a Blue Jays outing and I'm sure he'll get hit around because he is not the ace that he's looked like at times with the Blue Jays or against the Blue Jays for that matter. But you cannot complain with what you've gotten from him since the deadline because this is what they were hoping for. They were hoping for someone who could soak up innings, considering that they have one member of the rotation that they want to be very conservative with. And the rest of the bullpen is largely inexperienced guys. And to be honest, there just isn't a ton of talent down there. So having a veteran who can give you, 2 to honestly 5 innings sometimes out of the bullpen has been really valuable.
Ryan Yarbrough, 2 1/3, no hits, no walks, no strikeouts, 26 pitches, 17 strikes. I honestly would have liked to see Yarbrough go a little farther. I mean, this is a guy who, like you mentioned, can throw 5 innings if you need him to. After today's appearance, this is courtesy of my pal Josh Goldberg. He has a 2.25 ERA and a 170 opponent's batting average in 7 appearances with the Jays. That's pretty good.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Considered. I mean, again, 26 pitches from Yarbrough isn't a ton. You probably could have asked him to throw 50 plus pitches. Like you could have doubled that pitch count. I'm not saying it would have necessarily meant he was going 5 innings, but you could have doubled that pitch count from Yarbrough, even in a close 1-run game on the road, and felt good about it. I think, again, I'm not sure what the future holds for Yarbrough. I think he's a free agent at the end of the season, so there's a really good chance that he signs with another team. He's not that old. He's 32, and I think there is a role for him in a lot of teams' bullpens. But, I mean, at least for the rest of the season, if you are being careful with Yariel Rodriguez, and I think the further we go in the season, you're getting kind of like erratic starts like you did today. I think you're getting a little further away from the conversation of having Yariel Rodriguez in the starting rotation for next season. But for this season, at least until the end of September, I do kind of wonder, Nick, if it might not just be because they're trying, and Schneider kind of alluded to it in that clip we played, but they're clearly trying to give as many of these starters as much rest as humanly possible. There are a lot of days off in September. There's a day off tomorrow, certainly. There's a day off on Thursday. There's a day off the following Thursday. I believe there's a day off the following Monday as well. If you have actually quite a few rest days in the month of September, as opposed to having like 2 rest days in the whole month of August, which also included a doubleheader. So if that's the case, then you can probably, if you really had to, and if they're really committed to running Yariel Rodriguez out there every 5 starts, then you can probably do a bit of a piggyback start here with Yariel Rodriguez and Yarbrough, like you really had to. I think that would probably work, even if it's not super ideal. But they don't sound like a team ready to take Yariel Rodriguez out of the rotation.
I'd put it this way: if Yariel Rodriguez is expected to pitch a given day, call it a Thursday or whatever, I don't think you're going to see Ryan Yarbrough on the Wednesday. I think they want Yarbrough there to give them a sense of security, because we know that some of these Rodriguez starts, whether it's caution, whether it's inefficiency, whether it's just ineffectiveness, however it ends up, there's just a lot of routes to short starts with Yariel Rodriguez. So you know that when he is going, chances are you're going to need a big amount of innings from the bullpen. And Yarbrough is the best guy to give you those bulk innings in terms of who's on the roster today. So it might not be this guy is piggybacking and that is firmly the plan, so much as let's make sure that he is available to be there for those innings, because we know it is always a possibility when Rodriguez goes out there that you just get, 2, 3, 4 innings from him.
416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Let's get one more call in before we take a quick break. Let's go to Ajax. John in Ajax joining us here on Blue Jays Talk. John, what's up?
Hey, guys. I want to thank your producer, too. It's taken a couple of shots, but I finally got on, and I want to say a big shout-out to both you guys. You do a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
And I first-time caller, and I'm glad to be in. I appreciate you getting me in. So I just want to make a couple comments. First off, I have to chuckle because Nick mentioned looking at the lineup today, and I kind of did the same thing, and I could see some of the names in there. And one of them, I think Blair and Barker, again, I'm a big fan of that show too. the guys have touched on it briefly. I think you guys have touched on it briefly before. And I really feel for him. David Schneider, I think they've given him all kinds of opportunity. He knows what he's got to do. He's got to go up there and he's got to hit left-handed pitching. He's got to hit it for power. And he just hasn't been doing it. And I don't see he's got any kind of a plan. I think he's got so much stuff in his head. He just looks completely lost. He's probably aware of all the competition and, he's trying to get himself a spot for next year. But I'm wondering if they shouldn't have sent him down a little while ago, let him work out some things where he's not in the spotlight so much. Maybe there's a guy down there today, Alan Roden. I know you guys know who he is. He was 4 for 5 today. He's got a really great OPS. He's been hitting the ball hard. Josh Tashovich, another guy. And I know the September call-ups, maybe they might have some room to bring a guy like that up and maybe, give Davis a rest and then maybe make some decisions later on down the road. But I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it.
Sure. Hey, appreciate the call. As always, John, thank you for joining us here on Jays Talk. Let's do the Roden conversation first, Nick, just because I didn't actually realize he had done. I know the Bisons won today, but I hadn't seen that he had such a great outing. Good for him. But Roden, I think the only obstacle to Roden coming out, because I'm certainly not opposed to it. You want to see as many. We talk so much about wanting to see as much from young guys as much as humanly possible. Roden's a candidate. Jonathan Clase is a candidate. Kasevich is a candidate. Pardon me. Certainly, a lot of these guys could be guys who are called up. I believe one of the obstacles for Roden, though, is he's not on the 40-man. So if he's not on the 40-man, then there would have to be some kind of corresponding roster move in terms of like someone going. I do kind of wonder with Bo, probably not that. I mean, Bo is still on the 40-man, obviously, because he's on the 60-day, he's on the 10-day IL. But I just wonder with Bo's imminent return, you still have to clear a spot on the active roster for Bo's return. And don't get me wrong, like, there are probably a couple of guys you could easily, like, you could probably DFA like a Yariel Rodriguez if you had to, or there are options to be had if you really needed a clear spot on the 40-man. But I do wonder if that's the hang up right now. Having said that, if we don't see Roden before the end of the season, I'd probably be like a little disappointed because we've talked about him, I feel like, at different spots all season. Like, I remember having a conversation with Shai in the first week of spring training, and Shai saying, yeah, like many people within the organization are very, very impressed by what they've seen from Alan Roden, and that was months ago. So I do wonder if we don't see Alan Roden. He would have been my pick from all the guys in the minors, maybe right next to Class A, just because he's a new addition, like a lot of these other guys, Wagner and Loperfido specifically. But I'm curious, what do you think? Do you think we see Roden at all this year?
I would be surprised at this point because now would have been the time, right? When the rosters expand, it would have been a good moment to do it. With David Schneider, I think the caller makes a good point that there probably was a time when sending him down might have been the right thing to do, when there would have been runway for him to then come back.
Right.
And now that there isn't really time to make all that work, it feels like he's going to stick around and he's going to maybe just kind of play sparingly. When they brought up Luis De Los Santos, that sent a message to me that they really want to zero in on the guys who are there today. He's someone they don't really feel obligated to get too many at-bats to. Again, we referred to him earlier in the show as sort of a minor league veteran. I think that's a fair description of him. And so instead of bringing up someone like Roden, who you kind of don't want to rot on the bench, you want him to play consistently, it makes sense that they're like, these are the guys that we want to evaluate at the big league level today. Now that can change, and there could be injuries, and there's all sorts of things that can happen that would maybe prompt Roden coming up. It would be interesting to see him, undoubtedly. One of the other hurdles he faces is that he's profiles pretty similarly to some of the other guys they have. Like, he is someone who is a left-handed hitter who is plate discipline and contact oriented. And you've got Horwitz, you've got Wagner already sort of doing that at the plate. Again, that doesn't mean he can never fit with the team, but he's a bit of a tricky fit because, again, he's left-handed, he's a corner outfielder, and he's not so much a power threat. And I think they want to see, Loperfido, for instance, is like someone he's sort of competing with inside the organization. They want to see what Loperfido can do right now. At this point, Roden's a couple of rungs down the depth chart, but that doesn't mean he can't climb, or that maybe come spring training, you put together a big spring training entering 2025 and enter the picture a little bit more. But he deserves a lot of credit because he was really good at AA, both this year and last year, and then he got promoted to AAA, and he kind of kept on rolling with a pretty similar batting line. So he's he's done everything the organization could have really asked of him. It's just a matter of finding the right opportunity.
416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Those are the numbers for you to call, 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text Line. A whole whack of text here, Nick. We'll get to on the other side of the break. You're listening to Jay's Talk Show and Nick with you on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
If you're looking for a fun day, did you know the day before Monday? Junior J Sunday. You can paint your face, come and meet Ace and run base to base. Junior J Sunday. So many things to do. You can bring your crew and even mom and dad too. Junior J Sunday.
Sundays are for Junior Jays, and with all kinds of cool new games and activities in the exciting outfield district areas, there's no end to the family fun you'll have.
If you're feeling the song, grab your dad or mom, visit BlueJays.com. Junior J Sunday.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca. This summer, catch the excitement of Blue Jays baseball on Sportsnet. From pregame to postgame, Blue Jays Central breaks down what went down and why. When the action heats up on the field, Sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet app take you deeper inside the game. Headlines, scores, highlights, and more.
It is way out of here.
Watch or stream on Sportsnet or listen to every game on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. All summer, only one source brings you closer to the action. Sportsnet, home of the Blue Jays.
We're 2 men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikeys accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're 2 men in a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's Building Center. Visit timbermart.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
It's Ernie Clement with the RBI single. 1-0 Toronto.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
A pitch com lost. Leo on the ground. Said hi to some fans. Didn't expect to be over there at that point in the game. It's an unbelievable play. Just no regard for the wall. Just, I found myself almost on the field worrying about him, and then I look at Martin's coming around, and you kind of forget the rule that when the player goes out of the freaking field, you get one base. But just a great play. Just wanted to make sure Leo was okay. Thankfully, he was. Of course, the next ball, popped up right to him. He kind of hit his head a little bit on the railing, but he had a tough day at the yard for a ribby and a nice put out there.
That is John Schneider speaking to the media about the ridiculous Leo Jimenez moment in the bottom of the 4th inning. My goodness, great stuff from Leo Jimenez and a great heads-up play from Madison Barger as well. But a moment that was kind of, Nick, became a little scary, honestly, because Jimenez goes over the wall into the netting with the ball in his glove, keeps the ball in his glove, and he kind of looked like he might have gotten injured very briefly, and maybe all that happened was he got caught in the netting, gets the wind knocked out of him, was unable to get out because it kind of looked like he was stuck in place. The fans all kind of around him there at Target Field. But, hey, I mean, he seemed to be okay. An incredible play from Leo Jimenez. And like Schneider mentioned there, a great heads-up play from Barger to take the ball and make a great throw to serve and to get the runner going home. And, I mean, yeah, ultimately that play was erased. But, boy, they all probably deserve a little credit.
It was a classic situation where you think if you watch a baseball game, there's a chance that you'll see something you've never seen before in your life. And that's the old cliche. And to be honest, there's a lot of truth to it. And I don't recall seeing a guy jumping over into the stands like that. First of all, getting caught in the net, which seems to be what happened. And then another player coming over, taking the ball out of his glove and then throwing an absolute strike to the plate. Like a very heads-up play by Addison Barger, as you mentioned, for a guy who's a rookie and not experienced at this level. When you and I were watching this in the studio, it was scary because there wasn't movement from him. Like
right.
There was the catch, and then Spencer Horwitz did a bit of a celebration to celebrate the out, and then suddenly they're calling over the trainer and the coaching staff. And so it's easy to imagine, there's a lot of concrete there. There's the stairs, there's the railings, there's fans, like what he could have crashed into. It sounds like maybe he hit his head a bit, according to John Schneider, but he could have hit his head in a really, really scary way. And so this is, arguably a pretty good outcome from them, that the fact that he's just a little bit banged up and there's nothing serious there. We talked earlier in the show about the idea of how much do these games matter, and that's a bit of a controversial part about what happened today's game and the lack of pinch hitters at the end. But this is Leo Jimenez showing you that the game matters to him. And that's what these young players are doing. They are trying to prove themselves, and he's willing to sacrifice his body. And that is a cliche that belongs to hockey more traditionally than it does to baseball. But there's, if he had not made that attempt, if he had just let the ball go out of bounds, I don't think anyone would have been super angry at him. No one would have said, oh, this guy's not putting in an effort, he's just letting it go. People would have understood that. It's like, oh, that's in the netting. There wasn't really a play there. That happens all the time. And he made the choice to go above and beyond. And not only did he make the effort, he also made the play. So it's worth being extremely impressed with Leo Jimenez for that play. And, and Barger a little bit too, even though it didn't end up counting due to the rule that Schneider alluded to there, where you just get a single base for that. It's an incredible play. It really is maybe the best catch of the Blue Jays season overall, or perhaps in the kind of non-Dalton Varsho category.
That is Nick Ashbourne. I'm Show Ali. You're listening to Jays Talk here on the Sportsnet Radio Network. We got about 10 minutes or so before we get out of here. Nick, let's go back to that text line, 590-590, name and location. So let's see here. There's a couple of texts here about us making excuses. So Henry from Mississauga, you guys should change the name of your show to Jays Excuses. You're already always making excuses for the Jays, especially Schneider's terrible managing. And then another one from Trish in New Brunswick. This is less about us, but Toronto Blue Jays showed total disrespect for thousands of fans from Western Canada. This weekend, John Schneider said they appreciated the fan support. That's BS. Instead of trying to win, he left the best players on the bench. And Jen in Toronto, Jen, always nice to hear from you. She says, I think in certain circumstances, the traveling fans, not in all venues, deserve to see Vlad at least pinch hit. I'm sure he would have been fine with that. That's Jen in Toronto. I will say, I'm not sure what excuses we've made for John Schneider specifically, but I will say, if you're talking about Schneider and his lineup construction or pinch hitting or not pinch hitting a guy, or in past conversations, not just you and I, but just over the course of the season, whether it's me or you or Blair and Parker or whoever, Blake does the shows as well. Whoever it is, I feel like a lot of the conversations about Schneider specifically, Nick, for me, always come back to the question, well, how much do you believe Schneider is actually in charge of a lot of the decisions that go on? I'm sure in the macro, or pardon me, in the micro, he does get some leeway, but you can't tell me that the decision to not pinch hit literally any of them, as much as I didn't like it, falls solely on John Schneider. It must fall on other people, especially Ross Atkins. I think that's why the conversation for me about the front office has not largely changed when it comes to what needs to happen in the offseason. But man, it's just, you know what I mean? I just feel like you can't put this on John Schneider when so many other people wear hats on decision-making processes for the Blue Jays.
John Schneider's title is manager, but effectively he is a middle manager. And yes, there is some leeway in terms of what he can do, but there are also certain occasions where things, and I think especially things that relate to the health of the players, can come from elsewhere in the organization. So there are definitely situations where a player maybe gets arrested. I'm sure John Schneider would love to put Vladdy, write him number 3 in the lineup every single day, because that would give him a better chance of having a better record as a manager. And that is what he, in theory, should care about the most, as someone whose win and loss record is, generally speaking, how a manager is evaluated. So there's an element of that goes into it. Yeah, I'd like to believe what we're doing is providing the rationale for why things happen, as opposed to specifically providing excuses for the Blue Jays front office, because I think there is, there's valid criticism on either side. You could say that, the Blue Jays are, a little bit tone deaf at times. Like, you think about, the Blue Jays have often said, the front office has often said that in terms of connecting with the fans and fostering a good relationship with the fans, it is about winning ball games. And so not great this year. Every decision that they make is, generally speaking, about the competitive prospects of the team. If it's not in the short term, then it's in the long term. And so I understand when people say things like, these fans are being disrespected. They have gone a long distance to come and see this team, and they should see the team give the best possible effort. It reminds me a lot about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his day off on Victoria Day.
That's right.
Way back in the day, things like that. I think the sad reality is that it's just not something that is considered. Like, the team is trying to keep the players healthy, develop the players, evaluate the players, and then in seasons where they're more competitive, win games. And that is their focus. And their belief is that if they are continually a team that is in this conversation, a team that is winning games, is making the playoffs, then the fans will have a good relationship with them and that team, just by virtue of the team being successful. I think there's a little bit more to it than that. I think part of the reason why this front office is so hated is because they've not engendered a good relationship with the fans that goes beyond whatever success is on the field. But that has been their philosophy. If we win games consistently over time and we have a successful franchise, then fans will have a good relationship with the Toronto Blue Jays. And it's not always as simple as that. And I think we see that in the amount of vitriol against this front office, because let's be honest, like, the team has made the playoffs quite a bit. They've put together some good teams. Like, there are some awful MLB franchises out there that have been far less successful than the Blue Jays recently, but this has to be one of the most hated front offices in all of baseball.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, there's a text here from Jason in Thornhill, and Jason, appreciate the text. He says, "Hey guys, like seeing the kids play, but in truth, this is more than a little bit of fool's gold. I'm glad for these losses. Perhaps Rogers will really realize what a mess Shapiro and Atkins have led us into and demand that changes are made at the management level." That's from Jason and Thornhill. And I mean, like, I've said this to you many times, but I think you can do two things, right? You can give some credit to the front office for some things they have done, like signing Kevin Gausman or trading for Jose Barrios or any of the moves made at the deadline that you've liked this year, while also recognizing they've done a poor job stocking the cupboard and signing off season acquisitions, at least recently, going back to last year, overcorrecting maybe a little too much, and that changes need to be made. I think I've been pretty steady on that sense in the idea that generally going forward, even if I think it will remain the same, generally speaking, I would not be crying any tears if both Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins were not involved with the Blue Jays next year. Like I said, I don't think that's going to change necessarily based on all the conversations we've heard this season. But I mean, I would be happy to be surprised. But I kind of agree with Jason. I don't think a 17 and 12 month of August is going to necessarily pull the curtain over anyone's eyes. Like, I think we still realize that changes need to be made when, still you go into the first game of September, you lose it, and you're sitting well below 500 still.
Yeah, there's room for shades of gray here, right? They've been there since 2016, this front office. And so inevitably in that time, you are going to make some good transactions. And you might even have some surprisingly lucky years. You could argue the Blue Jays have had some unlucky years based on the quality of the teams they've put together. Like, if we ran the Blue Jays front office, you and I show, and we sat down, it was me, you, a couple cups of coffee, maybe a few beers and a Magic 8 Ball, we would make the occasional excellent transaction. That's just the way it goes. Like, you'd sign a name we saw appear on MLB trade rumors. That guy's a free agent. Bang, sign. You never know. You get a Bowden Francis, like, bump him. They are going to make good moves just because they've made so many moves, because they've been here for nearly a decade. They're going to make bad moves, again, because they've been here and they've made so many moves. And so what you do is you look at the entire body of work and you say, are we happy with this body of work? And, they could argue this team has consistently been in the playoffs. It has been a winning ball club a lot of the time. And there are some good things to say about this tenure. But generally speaking, the goals that they've set out for in terms of competing for World Series and making deep runs in the playoffs, the only time where they've had success with that has been in 2016, and that was, largely an inherited team. Now, there were moves made that helped them along the way with that as well. I don't want to take too much credit away, but that is the reality. And I do feel bad for them in a sense because, again, this hatred sometimes feels disproportionate to how bad the Blue Jays have been because a lot of the time they've been good. But at the end of the day, when you have a long enough period of time, it does become about results. In a short period of time, you can say, oh, the process is good, luck was bad. It's hard to say from 3 years how good something is. But when you're talking about a longer period of time, you do have to live and die with the results to a certain extent. And I understand why people are disappointed with those results. Now, is that going to be enough to cause there to be a change? I'm not so sure. As you said, kind of the tea leaves that we're seeing right now does not necessarily look like there's going to be a change of course before 2025. But these things are on the table. And I'd be interested to see what the fan response would be, just because the drum has been beat heavily for, basically 2 years now for this change. And so it has become a pretty negative fan base in that sense. And I wonder if there was a new front office in place that you'd see kind of, a new sense of optimism and enthusiasm from this fan base.
You probably would, honestly. I really do think, let me tell you right now, based on the text line, based on the calls we've gotten, all year, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that if Ross Atkins and Mark Spire are still in charge of this team come the spring of next year, it ain't going to be pretty from the fan base. It's going to be a lot of the same kind. And maybe they have a chance to buy back some goodwill if they sign big free agents. But if they don't, and you get another free agency period similar to what we got last year, then I'm telling you, it's going to be pretty negative. I see a text here from James and Barry. He says, I have to say, it's very embarrassing for the Twins to win by only one run against 9 AAA players. Even if the Twins make the playoffs, they aren't going anywhere. Yeah, I do tend to believe that the Twins have a very good pitching staff, and their offense has been kind of MIA. They're kind of MIA for this entire series. They scored 6 runs in 3 games, if you think about it. They lost the first game. They won the first game 2-0, lost the second game 15-0, and then won today 4-3. So they scored, 6 runs in 3 games. Not great. I tend to agree. Having said that, get into the playoffs, truly, if you got Pablo Lopez in front of your rotation, probably a lot of things can go right for you. I see, let's see, Russ in Kingston. We'll wrap up on this one. Russ says, this game, I think, shows the Jays' flaws. Without Vladdy in the lineup, it's just not a very good lineup, and their bullpen is very shallow. I kind of agree. It's hard not to agree with that, certainly when it comes to Russ's text, but it's kind of funny because that was kind of my initial thought when I saw the lineup for today's ball game. I thought to myself, boy, I really hope this is not a preview of what's to come in 1.5 years, let's say.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between having Vladdy, say, in the third spot and then having a couple younger guys on either side of him. And, the way the lineup looks when Kirk, who's actually been, fairly decent for a few months here, is in there over Servant, who has been, to be honest, kind of a zero at the plate in his short MLB career. Luis Del Santo, someone you obviously don't expect very much from. The Blue Jays, a lot of teams have, they've got kind of a 9 or 10 guys with platoon sort of starting lineup of proven guys they roll through, and then on a certain day, a couple of them are getting a day off, so you've got kind of 7 proven guys in the lineup and then 2 kind of random bench guys. And the Blue Jays, they only kind of have 4 of those guys, and so then you take all 4 out. Normally you already have 5 guys who are relatively unproven, and then you bring it up to 9. This really did feel like a spring training split squad game. It did feel like a bit of a AAA lineup, and the Twins probably are happy to have escaped with a win, because it would have been a little bit embarrassing to lose this group, to be honest.
Well, Nick, that does it for us here on Jays Talk. It's been a fun little while for us here, but we're back together again at the end of the month.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's been a great run this week and a couple of weeks off for me at least, so I'm looking forward to coming back too.
That is Nick Ashbourne. I'm Show Ali. Appreciate you being with us on Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Antigonish and New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Direct your vehicle from Rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. For Nick, Ben, Chris, Tom, Nick Blackmore, I'm Show Ali. That does it for us. Blair and Barker have you covered the rest of the week, starting with Tuesday with the Phillies in town for 2. Enjoy the day off tomorrow, everyone. Enjoy the last half of your long weekend. Make it a good one wherever you are. I'm back next weekend. We'll talk to you later.
This has been Major League Baseball play-by-play on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. Why do I love calling this game? Calling this game?
Calling this game?
Calling this game?
Why do I love calling this game?
It's because I get a chance to bring some joy into people's lives.
Anything can happen on a baseball field.
We've got a new game.
It's perfectly unscripted theater.
Everybody on their feet.
Because you never know what you're going to see on a given day.
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
There's just something about baseball on the radio.
Something about the way wood hits leather.
A swing and a drive to deep left center.
The way leather hits dirt.
And he made the play. Oh, my.
The way a deep fly ball sounds like it's about to change history.
High fly ball to center field. It's hit pretty well toward the wall.
Until the cleats hit the grass, hit the crushed brick, and then nothing but sky and a silent crowd.
That ball's high.
Until leather hits leather and 40,000 fans lose their collective minds.
In a perfect